Hello, 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 hello. It is Monday. It is another Monday and it's another stream. And today we have we've done it before, but today we're gonna have an XXL version of community feedback or also critiquing your 3D art or giving feedback on it, whatever you want to call it. And so we've gotten so many submissions over the weekend that I decided to fully focus on those today so that we don't, it's kind of weird. Usually what I've done is it's like first of all, if you only want to see one of these, if you want to see the 30-minute quick sketch or you want to see the the feedback session, then you'll see timestamps in the description. So whatever you want to see, you'll find it there. And then so usually what I've done is basically I had like one topic, the feedback session, and then another one behind that, some other topic. And I would usually choose, that other topic as the, the main topic, I guess, of the stream, which is sometimes kind of, sometimes kind of weird because sometimes like the critique or the feedback session is longer than the actual other topic, which is kind of weird. But yeah, today we're going to do a full, critique for the being of the week. Critique for the art of the week, maybe. Welcome back, James. So today we're gonna fully focus on giving feedback. We're gonna begin with of course the quick sketch, and then afterwards we're gonna begin with what got submitted first. I've done a one adjustment already because one of the, I guess you could say, artworks required a little bit more attention to detail, but we're going to get to that later. First of all, we're going to begin with today's quick sketch, which is a cute little barn owl. Let's get to Blender and begin. There you go. Perfect. You can see it right there. Look at him. Look at him with this small black eyes. Okay, yeah, that's the subject for today. Seems pretty simple in my opinion. The shape in itself, like maybe a sphere, and then down here, bigger sphere, and then some legs on like down there as well. Seems pretty simple. We'll see how it turns out. Maybe for this one we could even do the full body. I think it shouldn't take too long to really capture the entire, I guess, form. So yeah, we'll see. Let me just see. I think everything's ready to begin. Resolution is good. Symmetry is also there. That's all we need. Perfect. Let's begin with this quick sketch. Hogwarts. Oh, is that the one that that delivers, I guess, the letter? Is that the one? Okay, my timer's ready as well. Perfect. Okay. I would say I want to have as much time for the feedback session. So let's begin right away. 3, 2, 1, go. There you go. Okay, let's begin this owl. So we're gonna begin. First of all, I'm gonna just give everything a little bit more resolution, detail, float, fill. There you go. Just so I can use this and instantly pull out the body. I think what I want to do for this one, especially, I plan on doing the full body. So why not start with, creating the shape for the full body? The wizard male. Yeah. I only know that there's some sort of owl that delivers it. I don't know which one it is. There you go. Okay. Of course, usually... Oh, wait. You can actually go even further. So, yeah. First of all, we're going to start to capture the main shapes. And then we can get into some more detail. Like the eyes, the mouth, or the beak, you could say. Where's the front? Hold on. Oh, that's the front. Okay. Pull it out. This will be my main reference right here. The other ones are more like, this one is more for detail. This one's more for the side view. And this one's more, I guess this one's more for the front view. This one's just more for the face, you could say. Is that the name Hedwig? We're going to pull it out quite far, and then we need to pull it back as well. Harry Potter. Oh, so everybody has their own owl. Letter owl. There you go. Okay, so yeah. First of all, trying to capture the shape. We need more in the front. Right now there's nothing. Or just very little. So let's pull out some more chest right here. Birds tend to have quite a big chest that goes quite far forward. So we need to give her some more of that. And there you go. Done. We're done. Perfect. No, we're gonna begin, I guess, using another tool than just the snake hook. Let's see. Okay. Perfect. We can probably, yeah. There you go. Got my second vaccine shot today. So maybe tomorrow I'm lying dead in my bed. Hopefully not, but you never know. The first one I got, I didn't even feel it. Like, not at all. Not even when they inserted the needle. My dad felt it more today. We did it together. So now we're hopefully mostly safe. And yeah, now we'll just hope and wait and see if there are any consequences for my actions. Welcome back, Uwandre. Do you prefer the snake hook over the grab? Well, they both have their own special, I guess, use cases, I would say. So I like to use the grab brush when I just try to do small adjustments, and I like to use the snake hook brush when I do bigger adjustments. So for this, for example, just pulling out big shapes like this, it's way easier to use the snake hook brush, especially also because we can, pull out more geometry than what we had before. The grab brush is more for stuff like small adjustments, like, oh, well, I want to push this just a little bit further back. That works. You can't really, pull out more. It just stretches it out more. And probably one of the big differences is that for the snake hook brush, it basically uses dynamic topology like any other brushes, because it creates more geometry, and it creates new geometry structure, which can sometimes be bad. If I, for example, create this and then I use it, you can see how maybe it sometimes changes the structure of this geometry here. That will not happen if you use the grab brush. So if you have very fine details, you should probably not use the snake hook brush, or very it tries to keep the structure, but sometimes it just doesn't. It's just easier to do it with the grab brush. But if I do bigger adjustments, then I use the snake hook brush. You can compare them, but I think they both have their own use case. The nudge brush, what is that? What is the nudge brush? Is that a new one, or is that one? Elastic deform, snake hook, thumb. Never heard of it before. What is that? Oh yeah, this one's weird. Okay. Yeah, my pleasure. Okay, so we're gonna use the crease brush again to just kind of, create the basic detail here. There you go. Look at it. Looks immediately like an owl. There you go. Look at it. Nice small eyes right there. I think we need to also go deeper. So we're gonna pull this further back. See, now I use the grab brush. Perfect. We can probably also pull this forward a little bit. It's not perfectly flat in the front. It sounds kind of, oh no, it's not okay. There you go. We can probably also pull this slightly forward. Okay. The thumb brush. Never used the thumb brush. Sounds like a very gimmicky brush. I don't really have anything that the brushes that I use can't do, or at least I can't think of it right now. So I don't really look for new brushes that, I guess can replace my current ones, or if they have new functions, I usually don't really use them. so I don't really, you know, need them. So I just stay away from them. There you go. Okay. So, yeah, let's actually, hold on, I want to try something. So I want to grab my mask brush and just pull out the wing so that we can have a good beginning here. I want to see what that looks like. Just kind of create the entire wing shape with just one mask, and then the snake hook brush to pull out more geometry. Let's pull this further forward slightly. There you go. Down. And then there you go. Perfect. We can maybe even go further to the back. Maybe over there. There you go. Okay. Then I will grab my snake hook brush, go very, very big. We're going to remove feathering because that could kind of slow down the progress here. And then we're going to pull it out. Grab in the middle so we can affect the most of the area. There you go. Maybe go down here. Pull it out some more. And then in the front as well. Perfect. Okay. So now we can go in here and use the crease brush to add some more structure to it. Guess the best way, or the reason why you would use the thumb brush would be for when you want to simulate you using a thumb for your clay sculpt. That would probably be the best reason. But other than that, I don't know. Wait, hold on. Let me see what it does. Where is it? There it is. Yeah. So if I grab it like this. Okay. Wait. So I have, wait. Oh, wait. It's on full strength, but what does it do? It's such a dumb brush. Maybe I don't understand it. Welcome back, Hustler. Hope you had a great work day. Nothing too crazy. Okay, let's give this little owl a little bit more structure. Oh. Okay. I've seen your skull studies, looking good. Were they like in order? Like top left is the first one and then bottom right was the last one? Or are they just, I don't know, like just randomly placed in the screenshot? There you go. Okay. Move the nose to the side. Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah. Who needs that? Nobody, exactly. Okay. Did you work on your dragon some more, James? Or have you started a new project? I've not only grabbed the screenshot you've posted in the feedback channel, but also the one that you've posted in the question channel, I think, because I think that one's a little bit newer. Oh, yeah. I always forget you can also change the angle for a brush. Never really, I actually tried using it. Maybe there's some sort of function for it, but I've never tried it. Wait, how do I even do that? Ah, Control F. Okay. That's interesting. Each row is a build-up from the same sphere, and on the right are duplicates. So you duplicated your skull? Okay. Let's create some legs here. We need some legs. Wait, I don't like sculpting legs because they take ages because of all the you know, talents you could say, or fingers, toes. Let's see. How much time do we have? 18 minutes. Okay. Show me those legs. Okay. They should be roughly over here, probably. Like over there. Oh, very busy week. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes you just don't have time to do whatever you want. Especially when there's other people working in your house or in your apartment. Oh, okay, yeah. I know what you mean. That's what I do sometimes as well. Creating a backup, yeah. I think that's a good habit to do, habit to have, or yeah, a good habit in general. Just because it's, you know, you can always go back if you need to. Basically, sort of modeling non-destructively, but you know, destructively, but you have a backup. I've tried sculpting with the symmetry before, or rather, I forgot adding, like, I forgot using symmetry in one of my, like, in the first, I guess, character sculpts I've done. So, yeah, you know, doing double the work is kind of not cool. But, you know, you do you do it once and then you never do it again. So at least I learned that, you know, using symmetry is a good thing. Wait, so did you get, wait. So you bought an iPad and you bought an Wacom tablet, or? Wait, okay, now you got me confused. So you bought a Wacom tablet, but you bought a, what was it? A iPad, and then you also work on a PC, or is that like a, I don't know. My weekend has been pretty chill. I've been basically, wait, what do we do on Sunday? Oh, we went to we went shopping, some clothes. Basically, my parents get married in 2 weeks over the weekend, so we bought some like a collar shirt and a tie and some other stuff. And then the rest of the week, and basically I worked on the artwork that I posted on Discord. I got I don't know, something. I had a big drive and just, you know, trying to do another, I guess, more high quality likeness sculpt. I think I'm slowly making progress, but I still haven't really gotten, or didn't really, or I'm not really there yet when it comes to sculpting likenesses. So just doing more and more, you know, I guess the best way to improve. And then just looking at your, you know, old ones and then trying to sort of reflecting on it. Hope your weekend was great as well. When I buy the Wacom one again, I'm gonna buy a monitor with it. I bought the iPad and the Wacom to test them. Oh, okay. I was gonna return the iPad, but I found it useful. The kids like it, so I turned to Wacom for a few weeks. Okay. You can see the rendered version where I posted the other one. It's in the off-topic, I think. No, on-topic channel. I just posted it on, like, I don't know, 1 a.m. or whatever. At least in my time. No, like 12 p.m. How much time do we have? 12 minutes? Perfect. Okay, let's see if we can make these talons. So one's going back, right? Yeah, there's one going back and then there are 3 going forward. Or is that one going sideways? Hold on. We can't really see it. Oh no. We have to improvise. I guess we can just yeah, let's do them. Hold on. Yeah, I actually, so of course I'm using a tablet that doesn't have a like a display. So I'm just you know, looking at my desktop, which is totally fine. I'm really, you know, used to now after, I don't know, like 5 years now of using it or using tablets like this. I actually thought about, you know, grabbing or getting like one with a like an actual display, but I've never, I guess, tried it. It's probably a little bit more than like actual drawing. I feel like sometimes when I, you know, try to draw stuff with this tablet, it's kind of harder because you don't really see your fingers and you just have to kind of intuitively draw and then see if you get where you want to get to. And I think, you know, that always happens when I draw, you know, on a piece of paper. You just have more control. And I think that also translates to the tablets, so that you just feel a little bit more stable in your, you know, in your brush strokes, for example, than when you have a tablet without a display. Oh, nice. Got a tablet as well. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, Wacom is so far the only one that I've gotten. No, I have got another one, but that wasn't that great. And then afterwards I got a Wacom, and that I've been using since then. Do you think it's more ergonomic to do it my way? I don't really know. Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, there are also like these display arms that you can get where it's like in front of you, so you can draw like this, or, you know, use it like that, look at it. But I can see what you mean with looking down. Yeah, I don't know how long they need to be. They seem to be quite long. Hold on. A Wacom week, exactly. For me, it's been a Wacom years. There's actually one that I think is pretty cool. I can't remember what it's called, but it's been out, I think, for a long time. Maybe it's not even like being sold anymore. Which is the one where you can draw on a piece of paper on the tablet, and the tablet can, I can't remember how it works, but it can translate or convert that paper drawing into a digital drawing, and then you can import that into your PC, which is pretty cool. If you're like, you know, drawing. Of course, I'm not doing that, so I don't need it. I think I also slowly getting to a point where I understand hands. I've looked up a hand anatomy, you know, lesson, you could say, on YouTube, or I watched through a few, I guess, anatomy lessons, not only on the hands, but also on the upper arm, or arm in general, which helped quite a lot, especially for the arm. I mean, the hand and the forearm. I think those are I don't know, for me at least, quite hard to understand, or were quite hard to understand, but I think now I kind of get it. I just have to, you know, practice it to get, you know, to not forget all the info. Yeah, I think my Wacom Intuos Art, I think it was called. It's not being sold anymore. I think mine cost like, I don't even know, like 140 or so. So it was quite cheap compared to the other ones. Of course, the ones with a and I also have the medium size. I think back then it was the small size, but then there's a smaller one in the new series Wacom Intuos whatever, which is even smaller. But so I would probably say I've got a medium, and yeah, the big ones of course just cost more. And if you have a big screen tablet, then of course it's even more expensive. It's been in the shop. What do you mean? Do you mean it's like you kept it somewhere where you couldn't get it, or sounds like it needed to repair and then you didn't get it since or until today? Wacom 1 CTL. Never heard of it before. Never heard of it. Okay. 6 minutes. Let's see. We need to make some progress here. I'm gonna keep the feet how they are. They look horrible, but that's okay. You know? Okay. We need to integrate them more into the body. So we're gonna create a layer of feathers on top of them. Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to making a video, so there's gonna be no video this week. But hopefully there's gonna be a very informative video on next week about how I made the likeness sculpt. I think that can be very valuable. Very, yeah, I tried to make it, you know, more, I guess, beginner friendly probably when it comes to the video, not really like fully like going deep into the, you know, I guess details when it comes to how I did it, but more talking in general. I think that could be a pretty cool video. Okay, so the head looks okay. Let's see. We can probably make this rounded here. Let's kind of round it out. There you go. The pen was busted. Yeah, I heard some people using the iPad for sculpting and being quite successful with it, you could say. I never tried it myself. I was never inclined to get an iPad just so I can sculpt. Didn't really seem like a good investment. Although, you know, if you consider, you know, I mean, still, I would probably rather get a like screen tablet rather than getting an iPad just to sculpt. Because probably the iPad sculpting program isn't as good as, you know, Blender, for example, or ZBrush. And you can also still use, you know, your PC, and I would probably never really use the iPad anyway, so why would I get an iPad if I can just grab a new tablet? Okay, we need some hold for the eyes. Make the crease brush very strong, and then dig in here. Nice. Okay. Making sure that there's a nice outwards rounding on the eyelids, so we can actually place these spheres in there, that they don't poke out at the edges. There you go. Perfect. Let's go to the wings. We have 3 minutes left. Yeah, I mean, if you have like use for the iPad, then the iPad is probably better. But of course, if you only want to get the iPad for sculpting, then it's probably not really worth it. I think also the iPad is better for drawing than sculpting. I think they're very, very good drawing like apps. I don't really know if there are like really good sculpting apps. I've heard that iPad has the best sculpting apps when it comes to like mobile, you know, device apps for sculpting, but you know, compared to other programs that, you know, ordinary normal programs that you would use, it's probably not comparable. Okay, this looks weird here. Looks like a big sausage at the end. What is these? We need to make it slimmer. First of all, there you go. Perfect. Okay, that should be better. Maybe. Yeah, only sketch and feedback today. I don't think, well, we might have more time to do something else, but I would rather have, like, I don't want to be stressed by another topic that I, you know, want to get to while we're still doing feedback. I don't want to rush the feedback, so I want to, yeah, because we have so many today and we don't have anything else, we can fully focus on those. I also probably this week will be more of a, you could say, transition week where we do more like smaller topics that don't really connect. But I think then next week we can do something more, I guess you could say, like a begin another, I guess, mid to long-term project that is more, you know, takes a little bit longer than just one day. We have 1 minute left. Oh no. Let's see. Pull these out here. There you go. Maybe give them individual shapes. Okay, that's okay. Go up all the way. Give him a nice structure. Perfect. I mean, if it's, you know, if it's always going to be that many pieces per week, then to just not get like behind, like fall behind, we would probably have to do like one of these like feedback days every week. Or if that's not the case, then we can still, you know, say, okay, well, the first 4 or so we'll review or give feedback on one day, and then we can split it up maybe in 2 days, or maybe even just, you know, push it into next week. I don't really like pushing stuff into like the next week if it's been submitted this week, just because I think that's quite a long time for somebody to wait for feedback. So I try to put it in the same week that they have been submitted. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, the feet look weird, but that's okay. You win some, you lose some say. Okay. I've never saved today, so how about we do that? Hold on. There you go. We're already at quick sketch day 183. There you go. So almost, wait. Yeah, half a year of quick sketches. Right, yeah, today's half a year, I think. Yeah. I mean, we've done a few before, like, but not consecutively. Well, it wouldn't probably be pick and choose. I don't want somebody to submit it and then don't not get feedback. I don't think that's like a good thing to do. So of course, if it ever comes to that, and we have too many submissions that I can't cover them all in a week, then I would consider doing stuff like, well, if you like, you can, I don't know, like pay for a premium where you for sure get like feedback, and it's not like a you know, people that pay I guess a premium definitely get feedback, and then the other ones you could say maybe not getting picked random, but then, well, yeah, you probably would have to pick them randomly, or I don't even know. I don't want to think about that. Okay, waste of my brain energy. There you go. Look at him. Hold on, we can make this what is it called? Like the head piece that they sometimes have when they're not supposed to fly away. Okay. I mean, yeah, you know, if it's too much and we have to put it into the next week, then I would probably do it. But if it's still avoidable, then, you know, why do it? Look at him. Isn't he cute? Well, the eyes are a little bit too big. Now, look at him. Well, he probably has the eyes too close, but that's okay. Yeah. Okay. We don't need you anymore, timer. See ya. Most of the time the makes are similar, so it's really not worth wasting time. We're wasting 30 minutes each for 3 scopes in a row to point out how bad the anatomy is. I mean, you know, that's true, but I think you can still, you know, sometimes it's a similar, for example, anatomy mistake, but I think you can still focus on each individual scopes in the way where you point out individually where these mistakes are. Some people maybe struggle more with noses, some people struggle more with eyes, some people, I don't know, with head shapes or whatever. So you can definitely cut some time off. But I think, you know, saying like, oh, well, you know, this person needs to work on their, like, at the fundamentals or like anatomy, and then going to the next one and saying, well, same here. I think it's a little bit weak. I think you can do more than that. Okay. Yeah, I try to encourage, or, you know, I try to make it so other people are encouraged to give feedback as well. Just so, you know, I try to build not only a, I guess, I don't only try to build like recurring content, but also like a feedback culture. I think that is very valuable to have in any community, whether it's, I don't know, gaming or especially art. So I try to encourage other people giving feedback as well. I think it's, you know, sometimes can be quite daunting maybe if you're just joining like a new Discord and then, you know, giving feedback to others. Maybe if you even are, you know, if you don't really receive feedback that well, I think it can also be hard to give others feedback. Or, you know, sometimes you just don't really know how to really give feedback in a good way or like constructive way. I think, you know, that way, you know, if somebody gives good feedback, I try to point that out so people are more encouraged to do the same. Okay. Look at this dude. Okay, let's pull this back. We need to see the entire owl. Oh, almost. You could also add all the scope that you have. Wait, you could add all the scopes that you have the same criticism for in one file and go scope 1. Yeah. Yeah, you could probably do that as well. But I think it's, at least right now, it's more, it just feels better to give each one of them their own time. I think that is also more, it feels better for the person that gets the feedback, you know? It's similar to, well, yeah, all these other have the same problem. I think if you, you know, say, okay, well, this is the next one, and then you look at it and you kind of talk about it and you kind of give feedback on it. I think that's just, at least as long as you can do it, just overall better. Yeah. Of course, the more people there are, the more people there probably are as well that can, you know, give feedback. Okay. We need black eyes. Give me the eyes. There they are. Black. And then rough. Oh, look at him. Look at those eyes. Okay. One day, the few that are in the Discord right now would be so good at sculpting will give feedback too. True. You know, the more, not only you give feedback to others, but also you receive feedback, the better you get. And the more you even just look at other people getting feedback, the more you'll learn as well. You know, there may be somebody that you see that you perceive or you think is better than you. And if that person gets feedback, then you can consider that. You know, sometimes maybe you think, oh well, I'm not really at that stage yet, where I, you know, do what they do. And then you know, if you see what they can still improve on, then you can consider that in your current level as well. And even if there are people that you think you're better than, you can still look at those and see, oh well, maybe the mistake that they do, maybe I do them still, and maybe I can improve on them as well, even though I think I'm better than them. Okay. Yeah. Looks pretty good, to be honest. Hold on. Let me see what we can do with the lighting here. I don't like the nose right now. Maybe we can pull it a little bit higher. That's better. I like it. We have some weird stepping here. I wonder why that is. Oh, probably because of the way the build-up tool works. Of course, the toes look kind of weird, but that's okay. Okay. I love to help people with feedback so they improve, but I'm a pretty low level myself, so I don't want to give bad advice. I mean, in my opinion, even people that don't really know anything about art or anything about whatever other people, you know, do, like, I think you can still ask, for example, your, I don't know, friends about your sculpts. You just have to consider that they probably don't really know that much about it, so you have to treat their feedback differently, or you have to treat their feedback according to how much you value their feedback. So if people say like, oh well, I think the head looks kind of weird, maybe the eyes look kind of big or small, I think they can still, especially when it comes to human anatomy, see like mistakes, but they could probably just not really tell you exactly what it is. So if you, for example, say, well, you know, this looks kind of weird, or not weird, but weird is like a weird, or weird is a bad feedback adjective, I think. Saying more like the eyes look too big, or I think the eyes look too big. I think the mouth could be, I don't know, wider or whatever. And then maybe giving a disclaimer. I'm not quite sure about that, or maybe it's just I'm not a pro, but maybe sometimes you work on an object or on a project for so long that you don't even see the mistakes anymore. So even like a normal person can see it, but you can't because you've been working on it for so long. So even just hearing from somebody else like these obvious things that you'll see if you look at it back like 1 or 2 days after, you can't really see right after you've posted it, for example. First time the beady black soul-sucking eyes really work for a sculpt. True. I mean, they've been working for the other ones as well. Usually the animals that we've done have quite black eyes. I just don't want to use the human eyes because they look super weird. If we use those on a on an animal, you could see one of those. I think I've used them for one of them, and it looks so weird because usually animals have such huge irises that you can't see the white around the eye, which is why it looks so weird when dogs look around. You can see the white around the eye. So yeah, that's why I don't want to use the human eye because it's just too small, the iris. Okay. Let's do post. Robot's quite good. Yeah. True. That's what I meant with going into more detail when it comes to the feedback. Once you reach a certain level, especially when it comes to photorealism, you have to really go into details and really look at every single small aspect of it to really find things you can improve. Because usually, anatomy's like it's where it needs to be. Could probably still be improved, but it's still it gets perceived as a human head. Everything, like most of the parts, the fundamentals are there. There are just smaller things that you can still improve on. Same for me. Like for all my likeness sculpts, it's like the eyes maybe are here. If that's the face, the eyes are here, but they need to be like here. So you move them like a millimeter, but just the small change in different areas, like moving the. That's what I've done for the, what is it? The Tyler, the creator, the last one, the likeness sculpt. I've moved the eyes slightly higher, made them a little bit bigger, and then moved the lips just slightly lower, and it changed so much, and it looked way more like him. That these small details take so long to fix or to get better at. But you can still, see that it's a human head, for example. Yeah, you should never, like, constructive feedback is basically giving a person or critiquing something and then also giving a solution to it. Otherwise, it's not really helpful to that person. It might be helpful, but it's not really feedback. It's more critique, roast. Oh, hold on. They lost all their glow. Hold on. Come on, give me that. Give me some of that glow. I need it. That's pretty good. Okay. That's why I wrote the guide as the first post in the feedback session. I mean, in the feedback channel. I think I pinned that. Hold on, did I pin it? In the, what is it? Personal feedback? Hold on. Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, I made a quick guide, I guess you could say, for most of the channels. How you can use them. What they're intended for. Okay. It is time for the render and also for more water. Wait, is everything ready? I think so. Yep. Need to drink more water today to prepare my body for the vaccine. The first time I had nothing, as I said before. Let's make sure that's the same for this one. Doctor said to drink like 1 or 2 liters more, which means I'll drink 2 liters. Too lazy to get the second. I mean, the second is like the important one, isn't it? I mean, both are important, but the second one, like, you need to get 2, and then you're I guess safe. Hopefully. So maybe tomorrow I'm not gonna be able to stream, but hopefully, you know, hopefully not. I've never I've probably not been sick since like, or well, I've never been sick to a degree where I needed to stay in bed or couldn't really do much. Since maybe, I don't know, 15 years ago. Or, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. I only needed to stay at home once because some sort of animal like stung me, and I had like my feet got swollen to a degree where I couldn't really walk anymore, like properly. So I needed to stay at home for a day for it to, you know, I guess cool down, you could say. The vaccine 3.0. yeah, they update their firmware, right, for the Delta bug. Yeah. Heard about that. Okay, perfect. Look at these, nice. Wait, you can even see it. There it is. Look at the glow. Perfect. Okay. Rescheduled day 183. There you go. Perfect. Yeah, let's go to Photoshop and go into the post-production. I can actually show you some more fun renders that I've done with the likeness sculpt once we're done with this. I've not only rendered one, which was actually quite surprising how fast it went. Usually, you know, rendering hair takes quite a while. Maybe just because I'm used to rendering it with the graphics card. But now that I, you know that it's faster with the GPU, it was super fast. So I had hair on his head quite a lot. I had hair on his like beard, and then I had hair on the head. And you can probably even increase the amount of hair even more. But even with like 4,000 children here, and then interpolated 100 interpolated children per hair parent, I think that's how you how it's calculated. It was still only like 15 minutes of render time, which is quite fast. So that was kind of surprising. So we could maybe even make the we could make the hat even fuzzier, because you can kind of see the surface right now. So if I wanted to, I can make it even fuzzier. Okay, we need the texture. HPS, Hogwarts Postal Service. Screwhead? Why screwhead? Do you mean because of the shape? I would say pinhead. There you go. We need this one. Oh, that, okay, now I get it. Organic screwdriver. Okay, perfect. Wait, you don't, oh my god. There you go. See how, what I did. I added some contrast, I added some, I guess, more detailed color corrections, and then I added the texture. Crazy, right? Okay, let's save it. Wait, what? Yep, perfect. That's an interesting song. Very intense. Okay. I'm gonna save it right there. Oh, no, hold on. Wait, I don't even have to. Oh, okay, let's get back to Blender. Okay. Copy, paste. Yeah, a little bit. I think there's some sort of company that has like an owl as their logo. I can't remember which one. Maybe it was some sort of woodworking company or some sort of watch company. I can't remember. Okay, so what do we have here? HPS, Hogwarts Postal Service, Screwhead, HPS. Let's see. Hooters. Hootie. Let's say Hootie. Hooties. Okay, hold on. Do we need the... Yeah, we still need it. Okay. Wait, that is way too intense. There you go. That's better. Okay. Let's say... Let's say... Wait, what? Okay. It sort of looks like a totem. Totem screw. Hold on, let me... Oh no, everything's ready, okay. Okay, I'll call it Hogwarts Postal Service. You won. You won the competition. Okay. So I'll see you in 3 minutes. Hope you enjoy the compilation as always. I'll see you then for the feedback session. Da-da-da. You can't get over the mascot from Rules. You mean the what was it? Concierge Roberto. I tried to, so I could, you know, pay, I think like a subscription for the Mi 6 bot, so I can give him a, I can give him the like Concierge Roberto like profile picture that you can see there, and then also like call him Concierge Roberto. That would be like, you know, the I guess the best case scenario, but at least right now I'm not gonna do that. He looks like a Greg. No, his name is Roberto. Don't disrespect him like that, okay? He may be nice, but only when you enter. Okay. Or as long as you respect him. Okay, let me show you the other renders that I've done. Hold on. Wait, where are we? Okay. Wait, wrong folder. Okay. So that's the first one. Hold on. There it is. Where's the last one? There it is. Okay, so I've done 3 basically. I've done a few detail shots as well, but okay, so that's the first one. Of course, the one that you already saw. I can actually show you the adjustment that I've done in post, so that I can kind of show you. I've shown it to you before in this small GIF that I uploaded to the Discord, but just in general, I can show you the adjustment that I've done to this render to make it look more like an image, basically, or I guess just more appealing, you could say. So let's begin with the most obvious one, which is let's remove these. There you go. That's what it looked like before. And then I've also adjusted his proportions a little bit. Of course, you know, once you kind of get very deep into sculpting and you already added a lot of details, it can be quite annoying to always having to kind of push and pull everything to kind of get it to where you want it to be. So it's just easier to do that in Photoshop. So I've done that here. That's what it looked like before. It looked just, you know, if I remove the adjustments, it looks like his face is kind of getting shrunken, or it's shrinking into his face. But I've just pulled everything a little bit further out, like the eyes I made a little bit bigger and also pulled them higher, and I pulled the lips and chin a little bit lower. So that's what I've done there. See, there's very small adjustments, but they still change the face like a lot, which is the state that I'm in, I guess you could say, right now when it comes to like the sculpting, where you know, you have to, or the degree to where it looks like a person or it doesn't look like a person is so small that you know, improvements there, I guess, have diminishing returns. But of course, the more you do it, you still get better. So the more I do them, the better I get, hopefully. Okay, and then once I've adjusted the face, I added a just a little bit more contrast to make it a little bit more, you know, just give it some more, you know, I guess, range. The dark parts are darker, the bright parts are brighter, you know, just give it more, make it more dynamic. And then I also added the, you know, selective color correction, that what I always use, just to kind of adjust the different levels. You know, I've increased the white parts, you can see here, that's what it was before, and then I added way more to it. I also adjusted the gray tones just a little bit, not too much, like +4, or made the gray tones a little bit darker, and blacks I made darker as well. That's what happens here. And then I also added a color balance, which is actually like a trick that I learned just very recently. It basically makes every image, as long as it doesn't have that already, it makes every image just look more appealing in my opinion. So what it basically is, you can see it's a slight change, but it's still a quite significant one. Is you can play with these channels or these color balances. So for example, let me pull up a like an image. Let me pull up where I actually did it. So for the thumbnail for today's stream, I of course grabbed LegoRobot's character, the I guess face character you could say, or the bus character, and I did some adjustments just to kind of make it more, you know, similar to this, just give it a little bit more depth. And also, yeah, I've also used color correction, or what is it called, the color balance here as well, which you can see right here. So I can probably show you the entire workflow here. So that's what it looked like before. And that's why I always say post-production is very important. So I basically added just a little more contrast to kind of make the brights a little bit brighter, or separate the brights from the dark tones a little bit more. Then you also have selected color correction again, just to kind of make the face a little bit brighter where it is already bright, just increase the brightness a little bit more. And then I used color balance. You can see what it does. It just adds a slight red tint, like a slight magenta pinkish red tint to it, which just makes it look a little bit more alive, you could say. You can see if you look at this for a little bit, look at this, and then if I remove it again, the face afterwards, if I like the face without the filter, you could say, or the adjustment, look greenish, looks a little bit more pale, you could say. You can see now, it's very, very subtle, but hopefully you can even see it on stream. But it's still a change that I think can bring a little bit more, yeah, just change the image by just a little bit, but can still improve it. And then you have dynamic, like this dynamic adjustment layer, which does something similar than what the contrast adjustment layer does, but I think it does it for the color, so it gives it more color range. You can see it right here. It does nothing. Well, it does something, I think, but it's very subtle. You can probably see it better if I increase this by a lot. See? That's nothing. That's all. It just tries to sort of increase the range of colors that there is in the image. Okay, so that's the first render that I uploaded to Discord. Then we have, I think that's the same. No, that's the one. Oh yeah, I also added a noise texture to it, which just adds this weird, like, I guess old photo, or sort of low light environment photo noise to it, which I think kind of adds to the realism. And then that's the outcome. And then I also, rendered a few more different versions. This one's without the head. That's the hair that is underneath the head, basically. It's pretty simple to set up. You just use a density and length map or vertex paint to sort of, not vertex paint, it's weight painting to determine how long the hair needs to be. And then you can adjust the hair structure. And then also you have this one with the hat, but with no shirt and whatnot. Yeah, I scoped the entire upper body, but you can't really see it in the original image, so I decided to just include the shoulders. I think the skin works quite well over here, like the skin imperfections, but I think those are a little bit too strong over here. So what you could do is you could, I think, apply or create a custom texture that basically dials down the strength of the displacement down here and keeps it the same over here, if you wanted to, I guess, perfect it. But I just kept it like this, so it looks a little bit rougher than it probably should be, but you know. It it's better than keeping it very like completely smooth. Oh no. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's get to the feedback. We don't need you anymore. We don't need you anymore. We don't need you anymore. Okay. Maybe I should do another one without like with no hair. That could be another one. Okay. Yeah, let's begin. So let's begin with the feedback session. We have quite a lot of submissions, so let's dive right in and begin with the first one. The first one that got submitted is the one from James the Dragon. The Dragon. Wait, is it? No, it's not. It's Zaro. Wait, okay, well, so Zaro posted his new version of his character's face earlier than James's dragon, but then Zaro followed up after James with like a full body, you know, shot of his character. So I think we're gonna go with James first, and then we're gonna go to Zaro. So let's begin with James's dragon. Hold on, we probably can go to Blender for that. Actually, no, we're gonna stay in no, we're gonna stay in Blender. We're not gonna go to Photoshop. We're gonna look at it in here. I think we can do most of the adjustments in here, and Blender will probably not bug out like Photoshop does quite a lot. Okay, there it is. So that's the first version that you submitted, or that you posted, with these red glowing eyes. And then you have another version, which is this one, with more nice looking eyes. And then you've changed, I guess, the figure quite a lot. Now he has just like back legs, and also, oh, there you go. Okay, so hold on. Okay, so you have submitted this one first, you know, black eyes, very lot of teeth, grin and all that. No legs yet, so you've then changed it to the next version with only back legs and then arms, or you know, wings, what you would also call a wyvern instead of a dragon. Dragons have two like four limbs and then two wings in addition to that, but wyverns have wings and then like the back legs. So let's look at those. Let's look at this one. I think this one has more or I think this one is better to give feedback on than this one. So let's begin with this one. So of course you've changed the eyes a little bit. So well, I think the eyes were a good idea when it comes to making him look scary. Hold on, do you actually posted what your intentions were? Started to go freestyle on it and aim for spooky and intimidating. Still a work in progress. Playing around with different teeth and horn types. Yeah, so I think if you want to make like a menacing or like a I guess powerful and dark dragon, I think you can still keep the eyes. I think what makes a character, or what makes a creature more like weird or dangerous looking, I think it's just when you fill the entire basically eye with one color. It doesn't even have to be the like red. It can also be just white maybe. As long as you make them like completely one color, I think they can still look very, very dangerous, very menacing. If you, for example, look at like depictions of gods, they oftentimes just have like no eyeballs or no irises. So if we, for example, go into here, there you go. You can see, for example, this one. There you go. Hold on. Wait. You can see how he, for example, that's Zeus. he has like fully like no irises. He only has like glowing eyes, basically, what your dragon also has in here. Hold on, there you go. Not this one, the first one. So I think as long as you sort of stick with the like one color, no iris eyes, I think you can make him look very like, I guess, powerful and dangerous. Leopard gecko eye. And then I think the biggest thing that you can do to, I guess, improve the overall figure, we're gonna go with we're gonna go with, I guess, sculpting fundamentals, let's say. So I actually posted a reference for you here in the questions tab. I think you also saw it. There you go. This one. This one is not a good image for you when it comes to, I guess, the pose. But I think it shows quite a lot how you would pose a character that has a tail and also a head. So basically what I mean is, I think this character looks a little bit out of balance just because the tail is so long and the head is quite far upwards. So what would probably happen is either the tail would so basically if that would be the tail, it would either kind of slither over the ground like this, or it would basically pull himself backwards because there's so much weight on this tail that it pulls him backwards. The tail is basically a countermeasure or a counterweight to when you have a head quite far forward. So for example, for for birds, for example, that's why they have their feathers in the back, because if they kind of lean forward, they would fall forward because of the balance. But of course, because of the feathers that they have in the back, they can kind of mitigate that weight that is placed on the front by putting their feathers a little bit further, spreading them out, and also just by keeping that weight back there. So the tail is basically a counterweight for the head. So I think if you put the head maybe over here somewhere, similar to the reference like this, if you would kind of put her, it's a she, okay, if you put her on the ground, she would stand there like this. So you would have the head right there, then you have the neck, you would have the body like this, there you go, and then you have the tail. So the tail is basically like this. Then you have the legs, there you go. And then you have the wings somewhere over here, basically on the shoulder, like this, zip, 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 like this. So that when you have the head forward, you have the counterweight in the back. I think by just putting the head forward, I think that can make the sculpt overall look more in balance. I used my Nikon to get the picture. You mean you shot a photo? It doesn't really seem like it. It seems like it's been screenshotted, or maybe I don't know. Basically giving him more balance by putting the head over here. I think that could help. Another thing is, if you look at the reference, also the reference that LegoRobot posted, you can see wings are quite nimble, I think you could say, or quite light. That is because if you try to fly, your body needs to be quite light. That's why, for example, for bats, the bones or the wings are basically just these flaps of skin, and then you have small little, I guess, sticks of bones, like very thin bones that basically only keep the structure of the wing. It's similar to, as he also described it, as a hand. You have the elbow right there, then you have the wrist, and then you have the fingers spreading out like this. And then if they want to make the basically like this, you have the elbow, and then you have like this. So when you then want to make the wing smaller, or they want to tuck it in, they just do this and then pull it closer to their body. So I think one thing you can do is you can just kind of reduce the, I guess, thickness on these bony parts of the wings, and also decrease the thickness of the wings overall. I think in general the wings are quite thick right now. You can see it here. The shadow is quite big. If it would be thinner, you would have a sharper shadow. You can see here the arms are quite, I guess you could say, thick, but then these smaller, I guess, fingers are way thinner. So at least, you know, if you want to get closer to this design, reduce the, wait, hold on. If you want to get closer to this design, I think it's helpful if you just reduce the thickness, maybe only on these fingers and overall on the flap of this, I guess, skin part of the wing. If you want to get closer to this design, you can keep it quite thick up here, but then make the other ones quite thin. Warren, yeah. Okay. And then, oh, you mean the eyes? You photoshopped, or you shot a photo and put that in there? Okay. What I always find helpful is okay, I can actually show you how you can sculpt wings. First, before we do that, let's go into the rest. I think I guess you probably grabbed some references. I would guess, maybe not. If so, then grab some references. Let's look at some references when it comes to, I guess, scary dragon. Let's say let's use your description. What was it? Hold on. It was spooky, intimidating dragon. Well, that's not really a dragon. What is that? Where's the dragon? Okay, let's use spooky dragon. There we go. Look at them. So I think by grabbing references, you can focus more on the actual sculpting part than coming up with ideas. That is usually also why you separate concept art from, for example, game art, because the people that create the characters or the 3D characters don't really need to care about, or shouldn't really care about what the character looks like once they create them. They think about that before they go into 3D creation, not only because it's faster, you know, not only because it's faster when it comes to, you could say, creation, you know, if you need to think about what your character actually looks like before you, or while you create it, there can be more mistakes and you maybe have to do more iterations, which means, you know, changing a 3D character just takes longer than creating a completely new, you know, I guess, like, character in 2D. So it's just faster, and overall it's just easier for the person that creates it in 3D. So I at least always use references no matter what I do, just because usually you don't really need the references to copy them. You can also do that if you want to, but you use them rather to kind of, you know, inform yourself on what your character could look like. So you could, for example, say, oh well, I like the sense of scale, I like the weird pointy scales, I like those, maybe I'll grab those from this character, but then I also like the head shape of this one, you know, this triangle, or maybe even, yeah, let's say triangle shape, I like that one. And then I also like the color scheme of this one. You can combine all these references together and you get a completely new dragon or wyvern, but you still don't need to worry about the design. Design is a completely, I guess you could say, completely different field that you can improve or learn in. So I think just overall making sure that focusing on one project or one, you could say, topic at once can be very helpful when it comes to especially learning, I guess, the fundamentals. Hold on. My workflow is terrible on my wing sculpting. Lots of hopping around. Yeah. Please YouTube Mushoku Tensei Dragons. Okay, hold on. Is it on YouTube? Hold on, let me go here. I don't want to show anything bad. Welcome, Sebastian Vergara. Hope you had a great Monday. Maybe even a great Wednesday weekend. Mushoku Tensei Dragons. Oh, is it episode 8? Oh, there it is. The dragon. Oh no. Oh, okay. You can see another design, like a dragon with like a huge neck, big head, or maybe small head but big neck. Looks more like a, I guess you could say, human when it comes to the body, with the I guess structure. Eyes, I guess you could say lizard eyes. Yeah. Oh, big arms as well. You can see here for him, the arms are more, as well, like he has basically, well, he has hands, and then he has like 1, 2, 3 fingers, and then he has like 1, 2, 3, 4 more. So that's another design you could do. I guess you could use this if you want to make them look more powerful, more fantastical. But if you want to stick to a more natural dragon, you can look at, for example, the reference for the bat wing. Hold on, there it is. Yeah. Let me actually show you how I would approach sculpting a wing, or anything flat, basically. So what I would do to sculpt a wing, pretty simply, is I would focus on the bone first, and then I would add the skin afterwards. So what I would do is I would sculpt the arm, and then I would drag out using the snake hook brush the skin, using a mask. So let's do that real quick. Shouldn't take too long. There you go. So we have our little owl here. Let's make a new sculpt actually, so we can begin from a completely, like from a sphere basically. So hold on, there you go. We don't need you anymore. The hardest part about trying to sculpt thin material, that's also what happened for like it was, it's still quite thick down here, because sculpting something very, very thin can be quite hard. But I think you can make it easier by using a mask. With the mask, you can first determine how thick it's supposed to be, and then afterwards you can determine how the shape should look like. So what you could do is you could, for example, say, well, let me remove the arena. Okay, so you have you could say, let's say this is the shoulder. You can see the shoulder in the bat, like the bat example. You can see the shoulder right there. That's the shoulder. Then you pull out for the upper arm, you have the elbow right there, and then you pull out for the forearm, and then you have some fingers. So what you can see, what you can do first is we can sculpt the arm first all the way to the wrist. Going back to Blender, that would mean we have the shoulder right here. We create a mask. We mask out. Oh, wait, why is it so? Oh, there you go. Wait. Hello, let me please switch the brush. There you go. 20 constant, so now we can... Oh, there you go. Okay, so now that we have the shoulder, we can grab we can basically create the shape for the arm. We're going to invert this. we're going to grab the snakehook brush. Of course, it depends on how big this is, but we're only looking at this when it comes to the technique. So then you have the like basically going from the shoulder to the elbow, like this. And then you have the elbow going to the wrist. Kind of adjusting this, making this flat. If you make it flat, it just kind of works better when it comes to pulling stuff out. Then you remove the mask. You make another mask back here, so you don't pull anything that is like back there with you while you try to drag out the rest of the arm. You invert it, you grab the snakehook brush, and then you pull out the upper arm like this. Maybe you can give it like a small curve, although bones are usually straight, so we're going to keep it quite straight like this. And then of course what you can also do is you can you can create the first finger as well to just kind of, I guess, establish the shape of the wing, making this round again, maybe even a little bit thinner because it gets quite thin in the end. There you go. You make sure that usually it works better if you use the snakehook brush and you adjust the surface that you try to drag out or pull out. You adjust it in a way where you basically align it with the direction where you want it to pull out of, which means if I align it downwards, you can more easily pull it like downwards. We can give you, or I can show you an example. So if I select this again for the last adjustment, or for the last, I guess, for the first finger basically. So now if I drag this upwards, you can see what happens. It gets very thin. If I would, however, rotate this so that it points upwards, you get a way thicker shape. So what I try to do every time I try to basically pull it out in a certain direction, I just sort of nudge it in that direction before I do it. This way it just pulls out more geometry and it keeps the shape a little bit better. Okay, there you go. You invert it, you grab the snakehook brush and you pull it downwards for the wing. There you go. And then you can first of all, of course, smooth it because this is very thin. And then you can use my favorite tool when it comes to creating certain shapes or very specific shapes. You can grab the mask brush. You can then make a very thin mask in the middle of this, like this. You can decide how thin it needs to be, how thin it should be. It is also sort of limited by how much geometry that you have. The thinner you make it, the less geometry you can use while, I guess, pulling out geometry, which means over time you lose more and more. That's just how it, I think, like that's in my experience how it works when it comes to pulling out stuff with the dynamic topology enabled and also using the snakehook brush. You get some weird jiggling here, some weird wobbly lines. Excuse me. We're almost there, hopefully. There you go. Okay. All the way to the end. You invert it. And then you make your snakehook brush very big. And you basically pull out like this. Then you can adjust the... Oh, that's quite laggy. One thing you have to keep in mind is the shape. You have quite a little bit of geometry here, so you can pull it out even more, and now you can basically define the shape of this wing. And you can still keep it very thin. You might get some artifacts, but I think they're quite simple to get rid of by just smoothing it. If you have these weird sort of like, you know, pointy parts, what sometimes happens is you can't really solve those by just smoothing, because it just makes them thinner and just kind of evaporates them. That sometimes works, but sometimes it also just disconnects some of this, like it disconnects the tip from the rest, which is kind of annoying. So what you can also do is, if you still have dynamic topology enabled, you can smooth it so that it's very thin, and then you can use dynamic topology to just sort of make it even thinner. And if you do it more and more times, you can just kind of remove this tip. There you go. So that's one thing you can do when you have these weird, annoying pointy parts that don't really, you know, you can't really get rid of. There you go. And this way you can make a very thin wing without having to sculpt it thinner and thinner and thinner. Then of course you can also sort of adjust it, pulling it in this direction. Of course, the more geometry you have, the harder it gets. But yeah, this way you can maybe even using the, not using front faces only, you can maybe even create some structure here. Well, this is just too laggy now. There you go. And of course, because you affect both sides, you create some nice waviness in the wings. Look at this. Yep, that's how I would sculpt wings. Pretty simple, but of course, you have to know it first before you can do it. There you go. So that's, I think, a good way to sculpt wings. You can also just, I guess, separate them and just model them instead of sculpting them. But of course, if you try to stay in the sculpting process, then it would be... I think this is a good technique. Like a maple tree seed. Yeah, true. Yeah, you can, you know, you can adjust the shape a little bit more if you want to make it look more like a wing. Or, you know, you can also just sort of go in here and here, create these other oh, hello. Nice lag there. Create these other fingers like this, so it looks more like a wing. There you go. Oh, now it looks more like a wing, hopefully. Yep, that's how you would sculpt wings. Then let's look at. So I think, yeah, to recap, giving the character balance by putting the head forward, making the eyes one color. Hold on. There you go. You can see it looks immediately more dangerous, more menacing than just having him give him actual eyes. It's the same with, as we said before, dogs. If you look at dogs, let's go to display capture. Let's see if we can find funny dog. What I'm looking for is basically when they look like in a certain direction. You can usually, with the usual, like the most races, you don't really see the iris, or you only see the iris. Wait, that's not really, where's the image? Look at this one. You don't really see the the white, but if they look in a certain direction, like of course for us, of course you can always see it, but if they, for example, look in a very, very strong direction without moving their head, you can see this white around the eye, which just makes them look, I guess you can see it in here. It makes it look more, I guess, human-like or funny, whatever you want to say. Like, look at this. So adding that to your dragon, I think, makes it look more funky or more funny or more, I don't even know, like human than it probably should be. So yeah, just making the eyes completely like one color can probably help with that. Putting the head forward, then also making the wings thinner by using the technique that I talked about. You can also separate the wings from the body, and then working on those individually, and then you can combine them again by using, what is it called, Boolean, and then also using a retopology modifier to kind of smooth the Boolean edge. This way you don't create any weird edges. So this way you can focus on the wings without having to affect the rest of the sculpt. And then I think the legs look pretty good. Wait, do you have a ground? It looks like you have some sort of ground plate on there with reflections. Looking back at I guess the reference that I posted. Wait, there it is. She has quite the same feet. I think the only difference is that yours are quite close together. Yours also has 4. Of course, that might be, you know, that could still fit probably for a dragon. If I would go with this reference, you could, for example, you know, create one back toe and then one in the front, like or three in the front. Spread them out a little bit more to make them more individual, make them look less like 1 foot, or like that, like all feet or all toes are together. That could be something you could do as well. Oh, you can see here, you've added the eyes. You can see how it looks way more menacing. Of course, the lighting also helps, but you know, lighting is basically, I would say lighting is more about putting your character in the best light possible rather than trying to make your character look more like it's supposed to. But yeah, I think those are the most important changes you can do, or most valuable changes you can do. You would take. Okay, let's get to the next one, which was from, hold on, from Zaro. Exactly. Okay, let's pull up Zaro's image. So he made a character, a human character, not a dragon, and he actually submitted his head first with hair. He worked on, or he improved his head sculpt that he got feedback on before. Basically, he got feedback on it, and he posted it again with, you know, new hair and basically a full body with actually clothing. So let's go into that now. There you go. So we have a full body shot that looks like this. We also have 3 different perspectives. We probably don't need the last 2, or at least we don't need both of the last 2, because they basically are just mirrored to either side. It's quite grainy, which makes it kind of hard to see details, but I think you can still give feedback on this. Okay, so let's begin with this one. So the first one that jumped out to me was a question that I couldn't really answer just yet. Let's try if we can answer it now, which is about proportions. So looking at human proportions, usually characters like for example, human characters have a body, I guess, height of 7.5 to 8 heads. So 8 heads stacked on top of each other would be the entire, like the full head, the full size and height of the body, which means this one looks quite big to me. the head shape looks quite big. I actually want to see if that's true, or if that's just because the hair looks so big. I don't want to, you know, critique something that is correct. So let me actually see if that actually is true. So we're gonna go to Photoshop real quick. There you go, and see. So we're gonna just kind of draw out the head size. There you go. So it goes from here. Wait, let me actually start here. There you go. And it probably goes somewhere over there, maybe over here. There you go. Could maybe go even higher, but I'll keep it there. And then let's actually duplicate. No, I'm going to do it differently. I think this one is kind of wobbly. We're going to use a block. There you go. So this is the one head height. Let's duplicate it and see how far we get down. So we have 1, 2, 3. We're already at the belly button. 4, 5, 6, and then we have the feet as well. So it could work, just because of course the high heels make her look a little bit taller. If we would pull out one more, like half of this maybe, like this, like this, we would probably reach the feet. So it probably just looks a little bit bigger than it actually is, just because it's because of the hairstyle. I don't know, it just looks so big. That's probably just the hairstyle. So yeah. One thing, hold on, let me bring back the heads. One thing to keep in mind though is if you look at 7.5 to 8 heads, 8 is usually more for like heroic characters, or more like, I guess, usually in average males are bigger than females. So you could make her maybe a little bit smaller, which probably also means making the head, no, just making her overall a little bit smaller. Wait, that don't, nope, never mind. That doesn't really change anything. But what you have to keep in mind is if you have 8 heads in height and 50% of your body is legs and 50% of your body is upper body, including the head. So basically 1 head and then 3 heads underneath is the upper body. Let's see if that actually is true here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait. Yeah, okay, of course for 7 heads that would be a little bit less, but of course for 8 heads that would be true. So like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So down here, the crotch. Wait, no, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, we're now at 7. So it actually is too big. It actually is too big. I was just miscounting. So what I basically mean is we need a little bit more down here. So now we have 7. Let's actually add 1/2 this, or like have a head to this. So we go in here, make it maybe half as long. There you go. This would be the length that the body should have, roughly over here. Oh. And then of course we need to go to the height that she has right now. Oh, hello. There you go. Roughly over here. So this would be the head size. You could maybe even remove this and just use 7 heads, but we're gonna go with 7.5. This would be the head size, which would mean that you could make the head a little bit smaller. Let's actually see what that looks like. So we're gonna grab this. There you go. And we're just gonna very roughly grab the head and make it smaller according to this size. There you go. Now comparing it to the previous version. So this is the new one, that's the old one. Okay, I think now it's quite obvious. You can see the difference. I think that's one thing you can change if you want to. Of course, it could be quite finicky changing that for the head and also the hair. But one thing to keep in mind is for human characters, 8 is the maximum of heads for the body height. 7 is probably the minimum. 7.5 is probably like the average. So keeping that in mind for your full body sculpts is something so that your head doesn't get too small or also too big. You can see the difference. Just like, see. Yeah, that was the first one that kind of jumped out to me. The next one would probably be the clothing, of course. I think the proportions overall are quite good. The wrist, for example, should roughly, if she lets them like hang basically, they would roughly align with the crotch, which is exactly right. Basically the hands are underneath the crotch, right? Of course, on the hips. No, on the legs. The shoulders are roughly 1 head wide. So if you have 3 heads, if you put 2 heads next to the middle head, you would have the shoulder width. I think that fits for this one. I don't think we have a front view, do we? Do we have a... Oh, we do. Okay. So if we, for example, now grab the head size again, from probably over here to here, and there you go, and then we put it over here, we duplicate it twice. Okay, it's maybe a little bit, of course the head is a little bit too big. That's probably also why, the shoulders don't match perfectly. But yeah, basically you could probably fix both problems or both, critiques in one by just making the head smaller. But yeah, the shoulder roughly is 2 head or 3 heads wide. For females, you can make them thinner just to make them look more feminine, because usually for males and females, the shoulders don't really change in width, but the hip changes. For males, it's, for males it's wider. No, it's thinner than for females, which makes the females' shoulders look thinner than the males, because the males usually you describe them as a V shape. For the females, it's more like a, what is it, like a let's say X shape, or hourglass shape, which you can even, I guess the look, you can increase the look by making the shoulders even thinner, you can say. But to keep it more realistic, you would basically reduce the head size mostly. And that would basically also solve the problem of the shoulders being a little bit too close together. Okay, the next one that I think you could do, I think the anatomy overall looks okay. Of course, the clothing kind of hides most of it, but I think that's not too bad, because then we can focus more on the clothing. The hair, let's go to the hair real quick. The hair looks pretty good. One thing that I would probably do is this is basically the first layer of hair, and I think one thing you can do is you can add maybe 1 or 2 more layers to this, basically to break up the structure of the hair. So maybe you went for a more stylized hairstyle. Sometimes you have a very futuristic looking hairstyle that is very, very stylized, or very, very, has a certain style to it that looks very geometric, very clean. You can also oftentimes see that in splash art, for example. Let's go to League of Legends splash art. They have a certain style where they basically combine multiple strands into one, which makes it look very clean, but also very, or less natural, you could say. Let me see if I can find an HD hairstyle. I mean, image. Come on. It can't be that hard. It's also... Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh my god. So you can see here how the hairstyle is very, very, you could say or like stylized, or it's just simpler than it would probably look in real life. You could see it has these very, very simple shapes, these blocky strands basically. But they still added a few smaller strands to this, which break up the structure a little bit to make it look more like hair. No hairstyle basically keeps the entire hair in one shape, in one flow. There will always be smaller hair strands that kind of go against the main flow. If we, for example, look at punker, is that what you call it? Like punker? Oh, that sounds kind of weird. There you go. You would maybe get to this. This could probably, be sort of the hairstyle that I would think of when it comes to trying to shape your hair exactly into one shape. But even then, you can still see some, even then at the end, you can see they kind of fan out and don't really stick in one place, basically all together. So yeah, just adding maybe 1 layer more to just kind of break up the structure just a little bit can help as well. Okay. And then let's go to the clothing real quick. So the clothing looks very rough right now. I don't want to say rough when it comes to it looks bad, but more rough when it comes to the material hasn't been detailed yet. So, okay, well, let's not talk about the material for now. Let's talk about the structure. So I think one thing you can do very easily to give this some more structure is to look at basically how you would create that piece of clothing in real life, looking at, what is it called again? Sewing pattern. Looking at sewing pattern tells you a lot about how you actually basically, sew together, or which patterns you need to sew together a piece of clothing. That also tells you where the seam lines are. So for example, for this one, you can see that the sewing lines are on the side here, because you basically have two flaps that you connect together. You also have a seam line here at the shoulder. You have a seam line maybe for the collar, if that's a separate thing. You have also seam line for the middle part here, and you also have one for the, what is it called, the pockets. Adding those seam lines and also like just smaller structure to the clothing can probably improve your sculpted, I think it's sculpted like cloth or clothing a lot. So yeah, that's one thing you can do. Then of course, you know, the same for the legs as well, and also the in general the clothing can, I think, can benefit a lot by giving it a little bit more detail. And then of course kind of refining the material, maybe adding some maybe discoloration or just some fluctuance in the color helps a lot in making it look more real or more dynamic, you could say. You can also add some surface imperfection or just in general a structure. For example, adding a cloth bump map could help, or for the leather shoes, if that's leather, if that's supposed to be leather, or maybe it's latex, I don't know. Looking at what that looks like and kind of maybe grabbing a bump map for that material that you try to recreate can help a lot when it comes to the look. But I think that are the most important adjustments you can make. First of all, the head size here. Then looking at the clothing, looking at sewing patterns to kind of sculpt those into the clothing, and then refining the materials for the clothing. I think those are, they're not like a lot when it comes to trying to kind of list them, but I think they are quite big changes that can improve your character quite a bit. Okay, so that's the next one. Let's go to number 3. Also by Windows. Wait, oh, yeah. I actually had that as well. Like the person that helped me build this PC had like a I guess cracked version of Windows on like a USB that he gave me so I can install Windows. Didn't have to buy it. But then at some point my Windows crashed or my PC died and somebody repaired it and gave me like a free version of Windows, which was quite neat. Yeah, okay. But that's this one. Oh, and also the hair, adding maybe one more layer to it can help as well. What's the next one? The next one is LegoRobot. This one, as I said before, needs a little bit more. We need to pay a little bit more attention to detail on this one. I like to say every time you try to make something look more and more photorealistic, the more you need to go into detail. So to kind of show you the adjustments that I would suggest or that I would make to improve the character, my suggestions, I basically grabbed the image and put it into Photoshop and did the adjustments, I guess, beforehand, just because they're quite subtle and it took me a little bit to kind of figure out what you could do. So in general, I mean, you know, it looks very good already. I don't want to, you know, say it's bad. It looks very, very good. I think there are a small adjustment that you can do to make it look a little bit, you know, just kind of bump it up a little bit. In general, very good work. Looks very, very good. We don't really need the second version. We don't really need like the side. Oh, we don't need the side view. Wait, wrong folder. Why do you always change? There you go. So I think we have two perspectives here. We have this one and this one. I don't think we need this one. It's basically the same. You can see maybe the structure changes slightly. I think what would be more valuable when it comes to looking at a character's structure is especially a profile view. I think that is also, of course, if you're creating this for like for your portfolio. I think one thing that is very important for that, I only heard that, I've never tried to apply for a 3D character modeling or whatever job, but what I've heard so far, and I think what I think is very valuable when I look at characters, is not only the structure of the face from the front, what the character looks like from the front, but also from the side. Maybe you've seen these meme images before of like a character creation where your character looks like super beautiful from the front, but then they turn around by 90 degrees and then you can see the side with like this super long nose, like super deep eyebrows, and stuff like this. You can't really see it from the front. Wait. Posted his third render on Discord. Wait. Hold on, did he? Wait, there are two. Where's the third one? There's no third one. Is it in personal feedback? If so, I don't see it. I mean, he posted another one, but that's not the one that we're looking at right now. Yeah, but in general, I think the most important, I guess, perspectives would be front view, maybe 3/4 view, so you can see kind of the cheekbone and the kind of like the side here, and then a profile view, so you can see the structure of the nose, the structure of the eyes, the eye position, and all that stuff. Hold on topic. Oh, nice owl there. Oh, that's the gecko. Okay. There you go. Okay. Oh, even full body. Nice. That's nice. I think it's not really a huge change in perspective. It doesn't really give you more information about the face structure. It gives you information about the, I guess, body composition or body structure, but not really. Why do you have that image? Wait, what? Why do you have that image? Why did you post it? Did you delete it? Never mind. Wait, there you go. That's what it looks like. There you go. Yeah, it doesn't really give you more information about the face structure. It just kind of, it gives you the body, but not the face. Okay. Let's go to Photoshop and look at the adjustments that I have made. He's Dave Lin. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's look at the adjustments that I've made in Photoshop. I basically, tweaked them and looked in detail at it. So I don't kind of like need to do that on stream. There you go. So this is the version that we... Your leopard gecko, exactly. Is that yours, or is that like a photo that you found? So this is the version the original, and then here's the adjusted version with some suggested changes that you can do. Let's look at those. Really subtle, but you can still see the changes. I think the biggest one that I think can improve the character. Let me actually put them side by side. I think that's a little bit easier to see then. There you go. Oh. There you go. I think that's easier to compare. She has no idea people can see her around the world. There you go. So now you can compare it better. But it's also valuable to have it over here. There you go. To kind of flick around. So the biggest change I think that you can do to improve this would be the eye. Not really the distance between the eyes. I think that can stay. Maybe you can push, as I did here, push the inner corner of the eye slightly further inwards. Just because usually if you look at a person, hold on, let me actually look at references here. I have my own, I guess, if you want to follow me, I have my own Pinterest pin pages here for some references and other stuff. But I have a faces reference page, you could say. And if you look at those, this one, for example, or this one, looking at front view shots, This one. Let's see. This one as well. And this one. You can see how all of them, the link, oh, hold on. There you go. It's so hard to always keep in mind to switch to the different displays. Maybe I should just keep it at display capture. You can see that the iris position, even if they look roughly in the direction of the camera. Wait, let me delete these. There you go. Okay, let me just quickly send you the link. There you go. You can see how all of them, the iris is roughly positioned in the middle. If you look at the distance on this side of the, like the width of the wide of the eye on the right side and also on the left side, it is roughly the same. Usually, you know, if you look at something that is quite close in front of you, it might be that the irises are a little bit, you know, pointing inwards. But even then, the eyes in general have a certain outward rotation naturally, which creates this small point of, you could say, or which lets you perceive more of your environment, but then also creates a small cone or a small spot in the middle, which is basically the focus point of your vision. Let me see if I can actually find some references for that. Hold on. Eyes focus point. There you go. You can see here. Hold on. Can we see some cones here? I need some cones. Those are not cones. Focal length of human eye. Nope. That's not what I wanted. You can see, if you look at eyes, of course, they have a certain cone that you can see. And then the cones basically overlap in the middle. But because they kind of have a rotation outwards by 1 or 2 degrees, they, even if they look into the middle like this, of course, if you make them cross-eyed, of course, if you look at something very, very close to you, then they, you know, are closer in the middle than they would be normally in these, for example, examples. But you can see it, you know, looking at this one, looking at this one, looking at this one, or even this one and this one, the distance of the white, or you could say the iris, is roughly in the middle of the eye. Looking at your image, you can see, there you go. You can see that the iris is far more in the middle than, or no, far more on the inside than it probably could be. You could see there's far more white on this side than on this side. So the changes that you could do is just kind of either pull the corner of the eye further to the middle, or maybe you could even push the eyeball further outwards. I think kind of pushing the corner of the eye further in works a little bit better, because then you don't have to adjust the outside as well. You can keep the eyeball where it is. You can just pull this a little bit further into the middle. The next thing that I changed was the iris position. It looked a little bit like she looks above the camera. I think usually if I look at these references, for example, it looks more like they look into the camera rather than above it. That's why you would usually, you know, you would say, okay, we'll look roughly like a little bit over the camera, so it still looks like you look into the camera, but you don't get these red eyes because the flash can't really hit the back of the eye, which is like this red color, which is why you get these red eyes. But if you look just slightly above the camera, you can still appear as if you look into the camera, but you actually don't. I think he looks quite far up, but all the others have the iris basically hit both the upper eyelid and the lower eyelid. you can indicate someone looking up very easily by just leaving a little bit of space underneath the iris. And if you want to look down, of course, you can leave a little bit of space at the top of the iris. Usually the iris hits both the lower eyelid and the upper eyelid. More so the upper eyelid than the lower eyelid, but definitely both, if you want to look at the camera. For yours, it looks like it's slightly higher than it could be. You can see there's a small little distance. So what I've done basically is I've just pulled it a little bit lower. Very, very subtle change. But I think now she looks more like she's looking to the camera. Looking at these two, see, he's kind of looking upwards. She's kind of looking more into the camera. If you flick between the two versions, you can see she looks a little bit, you know, I just pulled down the iris a little bit and you can see she's looking into the camera a little more. The next thing I think that goes more to anatomy. Well, the other ones could probably also be considered anatomy, but I think this one is, I guess, more general anatomy, would be this sort of, I guess you could say, fad around the eye in the middle. What I've done basically here is I've basically grabbed this where the fat pad begins, that lies right there, and attaches to the nose, like this. I basically grabbed that in the corner here and just pulled it further into the middle. Where the fat pad basically attaches, it lies here and then goes over the cheekbone, underneath the eye, into the middle and connects to the bone that is right there. So the bone would be roughly over here. That's the bridge of the nose, which would be separated into a soft tissue and this is the soft tissue and this is the hard bone, basically. And then you have, of course, this sort of fall off here, like this. There you go. And the fat basically connects to this slope right here, like this. Whoop. So, which basically also sort of happens for the fat that is up here. No, it doesn't. It doesn't go to this slope. What the fat above the eye does, it sits right here, underneath this bony part right there. I think if you kind of draw it, it looks like that's the eye hole, and then it kind of sits right here, goes into the middle, but it stops roughly over here, which means you have this part right there where there's no fat, but the skin just kind of just connects from here to here. Which means this part is quite deep for most people that I've seen so far. It's quite, so that's one thing that I struggled with. I looked at this and I said, well, it could work that way. Maybe you had some references that looks exactly like this. Maybe somebody actually has these sort of, you could say, quite like a not deep eye. Like the distance from the eye to the nose is quite shallow, you could say. But what if I look at all the references that I have right here? For example, this one, it's quite small, I think. You can see it right here. It's quite a deep, you could say, pit right here. Quite a deep hole. Same for this one. You can see there's still a little bit more space than, for example, on yours. And you can also see that the eyes are just a little bit closer to the nose. The nose just looks like it has a deeper slope inwards. Same with this one. You could see this one is quite deep and quite steep, you could say. Steep is probably a better word. For him, it's very, very steep. You know, it goes basically right backwards. And then for her, it's a little bit smoother, but probably just because the eyes are a little bit further apart. So there's a little bit more space here. You can also look at, what is it called? Look at my references. Hold on. There you go. Looking at my references, we have this one? No, where's the fat? There it is. Nope, that's the wrong one. Where's my fat? Head. There it is. Yeah, you can see it right here. So you can see where the hole comes from. It's quite low resolution, but that's okay. You can see you have a fat pad right there, which sometimes goes a little bit further over here into the middle. And then you have the fat pad that connects to the nose. And you can see there's not really like a big fat pad here, which creates this very, very deep hole there. Which is even more obvious if you have less fat. Looking at the other references that I have here, this one, you can see how deep it goes in here. That is also because the eye can't really fill the entire, I guess you could say, like eye hole. You can see right here how deep it goes there. It's quite a small image, but probably still visible. You know how deep it goes there. Sometimes, of course, it's closer together, these holes, but here, for example, it just goes very, very deep between the eyes. So one thing that I've done basically here, and that you can probably also do, is just, first of all, push the corner of the eye. Oh, hold on. There we go. Push the corner of the eye. Wait, let me, the corner of the eye just a little bit further into here, which also then makes this sort of spot here, brings it closer to the middle. And then what you can do is you can kind of increase the distance between here and here by just pushing this further over here, making this a deeper pit, you could say, making it steeper down here in the middle, which you can see here. I try to kind of, I try to simulate that by making it a little bit, pushing it closer together, basically. And that's how the eyes now look. There's one more thing that I've done to the eyes, which might be, I guess you could say, a style, or you could say a style that is not really a set in stone feedback necessarily, which is, if I looked at all the references that I looked at, the upper eyelids usually, the upper eyelashes usually are longer than the lower eyelashes, and they're usually also more, which creates this wing shape for the eyes, which is, I think, usually what you're going for when you go for, I guess, more feminine eyes. You try to get this wing shape into the eye. Looking at this one, for example, you can see the eyeliner going from up here all the way around, and then through the shape of the eyelash, it kind of goes upwards, which creates this wing shape. You don't really have that at the bottom. Hold on, there you go, for example. It's quite dark here, but this one as well. All for her less so, but for her as well. The upper eyelashes are way thicker, and probably also more of them than at the bottom. You could see how much darker it is up there than down here. I think what you did right is the length of the eyelashes. It might look weird, or it might sound weird, but the eyelashes that point forward in the middle of the eye are basically the longest ones. It just doesn't appear like they are, just because they are, if you look at them from the front, you can carefully see the length. But the length, I think, looks pretty good. But what I've basically done is just reduced the length and volume of these eyelashes down here. You can see the changes. It, I think, enhances the shape, this wing shape, a little bit more. I think it makes it look a little bit more natural. There you go. That might be like a stylistic change that is more optional, but that's one adjustment that I would make. And then that would be the eyes. I think the eyes would be the biggest point of feedback, you could say. There are a few more adjustments that I've made. When I looked at the face in general, the face shape, she has quite a round face, which is okay. I didn't really look at it necessarily as a unrealistic shape or whatnot. I've just kind of added these jawbones, because when I looked at references, for example, for Selena Gomez, I think she has quite a round face. Wait, oh dude. Technology. There you go. Can we see like a face? She has quite a round face. I think what happens is if you look at, for example, references for her, usually, you know, this one, for example, or this one is probably being shot by herself using the selfie, probably, you know, the selfie, what is it, camera, and then being very close to the face. What that does is basically it makes everything that is in the front of the face a little bit bigger. It distorts the face basically. You can see the ears way less than if you would look at like a studio photo. You can also don't see the corner or the jaw, the corner of the jaw like anymore. A good example of that you can see in the video that I've made about how to create a character in 4 minutes. Hold on. A realistic character in 4 minutes. I've actually included an example in that I think can really show you how distorted a character can look if you basically use a low focal length and are very close to the character. There you go. I'm gonna mute this real quick. There you go. Oh, nope, there are no, hold on. There you go. So, where is it? Come on. There it is. Look at this. Zip. So you could see the changes that a low focal length makes. That's a high focal length of 120 and that's a low focal length of 20. You can see how the head changes the lower the focal length gets. And that can also happen for reference images. So looking at or kind of keeping focal length distortion in mind can kind of tell you, oh, well, this image is probably shot with a low focal length, which kind of distorts the face. So looking at something more like a black carpet photo shoot, for example, or like a black carpet photo, which is usually being shot more from further away, which means the distortion isn't as strong. And also just from with a higher focal length, means the face is being displayed more like flat without less distortion, which means you see more of the face structure. This one works probably as well. You can see comparing this one to this one, you can see this one's perfectly round, an egg shape you could say, but then comparing it to this one, you can see she has these small cheekbones still. She still has a quite round face, but you can still see the cheekbones. I think what makes her face round is more so that the cheekbones are wider than the jaw, which gives this round shape. If the jaw would be a little bit wider, it would be more like a maybe heart shape, or more like a, no, not heart shape, more like a block shape you could say. So what I've basically done here is I've just added these cheekbones to it. See, I've just kind of pulled them out just very slightly to kind of give it this this face structure of or kind of, you know, bring it more, basically do the same adjustment that you can see in these examples here. It's maybe like a minor adjustment that probably isn't necessary, but if you want to do it, then of course go ahead. And then I've done one more, which is in the neck department. Usually the neck is quite undefined, especially for females and usually for males as well. Just because if you just look forward, well, for me it's because of this, you know, crazy, or because of this very directional lighting, you can still see it for me here. But if you just kind of look forward, it's quite relaxed. If you then twist your head, you can see that this one gets kind of, you know, it flexes because you have to, this basically pulls downwards, which basically pulls the side of my head forward like this. So for the character looking forward like that, basically having body facing forward and then also having the head facing forward, you would probably have a quite relaxed neck muscles. These ones look a little bit more maybe flexed than they could be. So what I've basically done is I've just removed this side because I've kind of looked at it and I don't know if that's true, but it seems like the body is just slightly rotated to the side like this. and then she's looking forward. Of course, I'm kind of exaggerating right now, but she's basically looking forward, but then the body's just slightly rotated, which basically means you have to move your head like to the left, which also means that the direction you're rotating to would be flexed more, which is actually what I've done wrong here. I should have kept this side and should have removed this side. Yeah, basically by removing one of these sides, you can indicate that one of them is flexed because you rotate your head. If none of them, if she's just facing forward, you can maybe soften it out a little bit. It's not really necessary. You could maybe keep it like this. But yeah, you can see for her, it's still there, but it's very, very subtle. For this one, it's a little bit stronger. So it's just like a small adjustment that you can make, but you don't have to. See, for her, there's nothing. You can't see anything. For her, it's quite strong, so I guess it's just more personal. What you like more. And those are all the adjustments that I have for this piece. Going over it again, you know, you can probably see all the adjustments by just switching here between the two. Da-da-da. What I like is the eyebrows. I like the eyebrow shape, you know, going from these ones go upwards, these ones go downwards. Also the hair, I like the hair a lot. You've used hair cards as far as I can see. You, of course, if you want to min-max this, you could give them maybe a subdivision so they are smoother, but it's not really necessary. It looks pretty good. It seems like maybe you've even used a combination of particle hair and hair cards, but nonetheless, it looks pretty good. I like it. You've also added asymmetry. If we, for example, now, hold on, there you go. If we flip this, wait. Get rid of this. If we flip this, you can see you've added some asymmetry to it, which I like a lot. You know, no face is perfect. You can mirror any face and you will always find small changes in the, your face just changes. It's not symmetrical, so you can always see how it kind of shifts when you mirror it. So, yeah, I like that as well. I like the eyes, and overall, it looks very good. These are just like small adjustments that you can make, you know, comparing these two, that can maybe, you know, make this character just a little bit better, like 5% more. But yeah, that's all for this piece. Let's go to the next one. The next one is, there you go. Oh, we have a new submission, but we're gonna go to Reflexion. Reflexion is the next one that submitted their work. They posted in ArtStation. I actually downloaded the image, but I think they used a statue as a reference. I haven't grabbed the statue yet, but we can do that in just a second. Let me actually first pull up the image. Reflexion, there you go. Okay, and then we have the reference. What is it called? Hold on, let me remove all these tabs. Okay, what is the reference? Les Miserables X Anime? Or is it Ultime Val? Okay, let me just grab this. This sounds more like the title. Nope, it's not. Okay. Maybe this one? Or maybe I feel like I've seen something similar like this before. Oh. Nope. Maybe not. Well, hold on. Hold on. What about combining these two? Ah, French. Oh, okay, so it's a combination. Okay, now I get it. Welcome, Emmerich. Yep. Okay, now I get it. Okay. Okay, so you said before, you said in the post, it's like a combination of a scene in an anime, and then what was the other one? French literature, so there's probably not like an image, but we can still look at this. Okay, so the first one that jumped out to me is you probably have used cloth simulations for the clothing, which is not bad, but of course then what you get is these these, what are they called? Not bags, pockets. You have these very, very pocket imprints, you could say. You can see them very, very clearly. That is usually because the cloth is it's basically too stretched, you could say. It's too close to the character, which means it pushes the pocket out, or the pocket basically pushes a imprint out of the cloth, which creates this cloth structure. If you look at normal, your example, what are they called? Leggings don't really have pockets. Oh no, I don't really know an example. You could say jogging pants. That's probably something you kind of went for. You don't really see the pockets, but they're still there. That is just because this part here of the clothing is quite relaxed. So what you could do is you could kind of relax this clothing a little bit. I know Blender clothing or cloth simulations are hard or are annoying, let's say. That's why I used Marvelous Designer, just because it's more intuitive and easier to use, and just better in general when it comes to simulations and faster. But if you want to stick to Blender, I think what you could do is you can kind of remove the strength a little bit. One thing that can help is if you separate the front part of the leg, basically creating a cut right here. And then also on the other side, like if you look through the leg, it would be over here somewhere. And then connecting them with just single edges, you can create a sewing, which then connects these two pieces where they are connected with edges, which you can then tailor a little bit better to the shape of the leg. What I mean is basically, let's say pants sewing pattern. Look at that. That's the normal, okay, well that's not a normal pant. That's the normal pant sewing pattern. If you create you don't really have to do it so like super detailed like this. You can also just kind of slice these two halves or create two halves out of this, a front half and a back half, and then you create edges between the two pieces to sew them together. What I mean is basically, you can go in here, you can create a plane. There you go. Then you can duplicate this. We should probably add some subdivisions, maybe 2. Simple, there you go. What you can do then is you can select these edges, and you can now decide which basically edges should be sewn together. So what you can do is you can connect. We have to select only vertices, 2 vertices. So doing like this is exactly what you should do. Basically creating these small threads that connect these 2 pieces together. What you shouldn't do is you shouldn't go in here and do this. This will not be registered as a sewing line, as far as I know. Maybe it works, but I don't think so. You do this, and what then happens, let me actually only do it on one side. You can then go into the clothing. There you go. You use, cloth simulation. We need there you go, double F12, shift F12, there you go. And then you can enable pressure. No, where is it? Shape. It's in shape. You enable sewing right here. And then if you hit play, before we do that, we go to field weights and remove gravity, so it doesn't fall down. And then if you hit play, zip, it connects these 2 edges together. Let's actually do something interesting. Wait, oh, I added geometry back in. What you can also do is, for example, just to show you what it basically does, that's what I meant. You can also do stuff like like this. This will probably make a horrible mess, but we'll see. There you go. And then if you press play, oh no, you've created a vortex of, oh no, it actually turned around. But yeah, so using sewing lines or sewing patterns can probably help you make the fans a little bit more realistic. Not only because then you could create the actual sewing line, but you can also style the pants a little bit more, and then afterwards alleviate the stress that is applied to them a little bit. Okay, let's get to the rest. I like the lighting. The lighting looks pretty good. I think it highlights the carrot and also the dude. The colors look pretty good. You have some nice blue up here. You have nice red, so a nice contrast between the two. Nice warm and cold. What you could do, you could introduce to kind of basically separate the model a little bit more from the background, is what you've done on this side. Maybe you could maybe do it on this side as well. It's not necessary, but I just like rim lights in every render that I do. So if you want to, you can maybe add a rim light over here just to kind of separate, just to kind of add a little bit more of a contour over here so that it kind of separates the character from the background a little bit more. But in general, I guess it looks pretty good. I like it. One thing that I would consider is it's similar to the Dragon Sculpt in a way that it is basically missing gravity. It's missing weight. What I mean basically is if you look at the hands, this hand is placed on the carriage, but this one is basically sort of only holding the carriage on his fingers. Of course, if you look at, for example, power lifters or whatnot, they of course can't really, lift like a carriage or some sort of heavy weight with just their fingertips. So they would use their entire hand to lift it. So I think one thing you can do to just make the carriage appear heavier, an easier way you can do that is by placing the hand on top of, or basically putting the hand on the surface so that it's not kind of flying there. I think that can very easily make it look a little bit more realistic. Hold on. Let me actually try this. Okay, there you go. Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay, you can see the shadow still kind of disconnected, but yeah, just putting the hand a little bit more on the carriage can probably help. I like how the carriage is a bit bent in the middle, really shows the weight of the wheels and it being pushed. Yeah. That's a good thing. Emphasizing sort of the dynamic or where the weight is placed can help a lot in making it look more, heavier. You can see that also in like if you have like power lifters, they lift a lot of like weight, especially for like deadlifting. There's a lot of weight on both sides, but they usually grip in the middle, which means that it has like this reverse U shape, which is because the weights are placed on the sides, but in the middle they get kind of lifted up, which means it bends. So the hand, I think one thing you can do. Let's go to anatomy, my favorite topic. I think the one thing you can do is basically let's look at our favorite dude. No, let's look actually at bodybuilders. Bodybuilder. There you go. let's look at her. You can see how the body is shaped. The hips are quite thin. Usually, even if you know, some people have wider hips, but usually the hips are quite thin. And then of course you have the what do you call it? Basically the wings on the side that creates this V shape. You can see the hips get quite thinner, but what you can see here is that it this wing is very, very big right from the beginning. Let's actually first talk about where this wing is coming from. If you look at him, for example, you can see, oh, sorry. So we have the abs in the front. We have the hips right here. We have the chest, or the what is it called? The chest. No, it's not the chest. The skeleton part of the chest. You can see it right here, and then you have these wings right there. The wings are not bone; they're muscle. The bony part of the chest is basically aligning, or is basically as wide as this part here, the hips. But then what makes it wider are the latissimus, no, the lat, the latissimus, whatever it's called. You can see them in my, the torso. No, there's a certain name for it. I can't remember what it's called. But look at my reference here. The lat begins down here and then goes up, or is basically connected over here at the spine, and then goes all the way up into here underneath the arm, into the armpit, and connects to the upper arm bone. And if you basically do this, you stretch the muscle and you create this wing. So this muscle basically gets stretched outwards and creates this sort of like wing shape. I think what is kind of the problem here is that it doesn't really look stretched out. It looks more like the chest, or the... Dude, I need to know what it's called. Hold on, you'll know what it's called in German as well. Hold on. There you go. The chest, the thorax, that's all horrible. What is... well... Yeah, it's... Wow, it's both chest, okay. But you can probably adjust it in a way that you can see right here. It stays quite thin, but then it kind of creates this wing right here that has this tapering off at the bottom. It creates this heart shape, or this V shape. For you, it's more like an O shape. I guess that's the best way to describe it. So one adjustment you can do is, if you go to here, wait, we can probably also just use the finger. You can just push it more over here. No, hold on, I actually want to keep it quite sharp. Okay, so one thing you can do is you can create this tapering off a little bit more by just kind of pushing this inwards. There you go. And then, the chest on this side, I think you can also kind of just push a little bit further into the middle, right, like this. You can probably also make the hips a little bit thinner. You can see how thin the hips actually are. If you work out your body, the hips are basically where bones connect, but there are no bones where muscles attach to, but there are no muscles that really cover the waist, which means there's nothing that can create width. That's also why bodybuilders always have these very, very thin waists, because there's no muscle to train that covers the waist. Which means what you can do here is you can make the waist a little bit slimmer, like this. You can maybe also pull down the chest a little bit more. Maybe you can go here, like this. Do it like this, just to kind of adjust the shape a little bit more. See the adjustments here. And then, of course, the perspective makes it a little bit harder to see. But I think one thing that you can do, or that you can look at, is the anatomy of the neck. It seems like you've added some sort of muscle here, or that's some sort of shirt. But it seems like it's a muscle. Usually what you would have, let's look at the character. You have a, oh, sorry. So you have, oh, hold on. I actually have some better images that we can look at. There you go. Well, that's even worse. Let's look at this. So, looking at the neck, you have the head. The head connects with a spine in the middle. Then you have the collarbone right there, where the chest muscles connect to. You can see it right here. They all connect to the collarbone right here. Collarbone, right there. Look at this. That's the collarbone. That's also where the front shoulder connects to. Then you have the muscles that we talked about before that rotate the head, coming from the middle of the collarbone to the ears. You can see it right here. Hold on. This direction, you can see it. Zip, going to the ear, underneath the ear, basically. And then you have the neck muscle coming from here, wrapping around the neck and connecting to here. So this, yeah, basically the collarbone. You can you see a good image of this? Oh, we can look for bodybuilder neck, probably. No, yeah. Hold on. There you go. You can see it begins in the back, but then it connects to the front. So what you actually have is a small sort of dip here in the middle. For him, he has like a massive neck, maybe. Let's see if we can get a better image. This one, for example, you can see there's quite a deep space in here, like a deep triangle, you could say, on both sides, where there isn't really like a big muscle. Hold on, this one. You could see that's the neck muscle, that's these ones go into the middle, but then there you have this kind of triangle of nothingness. There are some muscles that still connect to down there, but they don't really create a lot of volume. What I can see here in your image is sort of like you have these muscles going into the middle. Oh, hold on. You have muscles going into the middle, like this, for the neck. But then you have this volume right here. It looks kind of like there's one more muscle that you've added that wouldn't really be there. Or maybe you've just placed the muscles a little bit differently. In general, what you can keep in mind is, or I guess, okay, let me bring that all together, and I guess the best advice that I can give you for this to improve it would be to look at not only bone structure and proportions, but also where the muscles, or what muscles you have in the body, but also where these muscles are attached to. That tells you a lot about how the muscles change when you do different poses. So for example, if you look at this, you can see the chest connects to the upper arm bone, which means if you pull your arms upwards like this, they get pulled upwards as well. You can see that's why you have this sort of upward shape here. You can see we have a sort of downwards shape right here, or like a U shape. But this one is a very clear V shape, just because this muscle is attached to the upper bone, or the bone of the upper arm, which means it pulls it upwards, which you can also see in yours isn't really the case. You could see this basically stays the same. This one basically has the same shape that this one has, or this one, but it should have something like this. And here you can also see, yeah, this is probably a good reference for your sculpt. Yeah, so in general, when you look at the character, looking at body anatomy, not only proportions, but also attachment of the muscles to where they connect to, basically. And then, yeah, bone structure as well. And then maybe, placing the hand on the carriage so it looks more like it has more weight. I think those are the big changes that I would suggest. And maybe, separating this into 2 pieces so you can adjust the properties of the pants a little bit better. Hold on, let me see if I can find the videos that I looked at for human anatomy that I think are very, very helpful. Let me see if I can find those. The channel. The dude basically goes through the entire anatomy, one by one muscle, going through like the leg or the arm, and goes through each one of them and where it attaches to, which I think is very, very insightful, because usually, muscles kind of go over and on top of each other, go over and under each other. So it's kind of hard to see where actually something connects or where the muscles are attached. But it's a very, very important thing to know when you want to create the, proper anatomy for poses, especially. There you go. This one, for example. So there are 2, basically. There are 2. You have this one. Hold on. Yeah, I'm going to drop it in the Discord as well. Okay, so you have this channel, which is called KenHub Learn Human Anatomy. What I always find difficult is if you have anatomy references with every bone or every muscle applied to the bone, which doesn't really show you where the muscles are actually attached to. But if you look at this, you can see, okay, well, this bone, they removed all the other bones, but only this bone is there. If you go a little bit further to the front, you can see they go, okay, well, there's no bone. There's no bone now. Let's add there's no muscle. Let's add the first muscle. Well, hold on. That's the first muscle. That's the first big biceps muscle. There's another one underneath this one. And then there's another one up here. See, this one connects up here to the scapula and also to the forearm bone. And just kind of removing all the other muscles makes it way easier to see where they actually attach, and also makes it way easier to see what they're actually used for. This muscle is used for bending or kind of, bending the arm. And why? Because it attaches to the forearm down there and then also to the scapula up there. And when it flexes, it pulls together, which means it pulls it upwards. Then Sam Webster, basically goes through the entire musculature. He has this very, very helpful sort of anatomy figure that he, that you can sort of separate or remove muscles from. He also has this bone structure, and he kind of explains all the sort of, not only the mechanics of the bones, but also where they're attached, which I think is very helpful. That's where I actually learned forearm anatomy from, and also hand anatomy, which is actually quite simple. You just have to know what it, how it looks like, or what it is. So I'm gonna post these in the Discord, and then you can look at the channel yourself. There you go. Wait. There you go. Okay. Okay. Yeah, in general, anatomy is probably the best thing you can look at to improve this. Let me just quickly write great channels for human anatomy. Perfect. Okay, yeah, that would be my advice. Okay. Let's go to the next one. The next one is LegoRobot again, and then afterwards we have Hustler as the last one. Let's go to LegoRobot again. LegoRobot submitted a dude in armor. Let me actually open it up real quick. We don't need these anymore. Nope. Nope. There it is. We don't need to look at the video necessarily. Well, we can look at it later. I think we can look at this first. Well, hold on. We can actually import it into Photoshop. Dude, I'm pressing all the wrong buttons. There you go. Okay. Now we can see these nice reflections. So this looks pretty good. I like it. I think the thing, so in general, anatomy looks good. I don't really have much to say about anatomy, especially because it's more like an alien rather than a real character, which means I don't really know what you went for when it comes to anatomy. I could say maybe, oh well, you know, maybe you went for human anatomy when it comes to everything except for the feet and the hands. You know, the hands have 3 fingers, the feet have 2 toes, and that's it. You know, you could maybe define the muscles a little bit more if you wanted to. Maybe, you know, define the anatomy a little bit more. Yeah, of course, my pleasure. You know, if you want to post maybe like an improved version, or maybe, I don't know. If you want to do that, of course, I would be very happy to see the changes. But yeah, let's stick with this one first. So of course, when it comes to, I guess, the body anatomy, I don't really have any that much to say, just because I don't really know what you went for necessarily. Maybe you went for like a more alien look. Maybe you went for something more like a human look. What I can say though is, usually even if you define, or even if you create more animal-like characters, you still have the similar body composition. Even if you look at cats compared to humans, they still have the same arm anatomy. Humans have a biceps, they have a triceps, they have forearm muscles, and that's the same for cats, for example, or other animals. Just because you basically need all these muscles to do certain actions. You have to rotate your hands, you have to, you know, bend your arm, you have to, you know, push your arm, or what is it? I don't know what the terms are called, but yeah. So usually anatomy for humans and animals are quite similar. So maybe you could, I don't know, define the muscles a little bit more, for example, for the neck, maybe. But of course, if it's more like a skinny character, you could say, you wouldn't really see the muscles anyway. So that's why I don't really want to talk about the muscles or the anatomy necessarily. I think the biggest thing that jumped out to me when I looked at this was probably the materials. The first thing that I thought about was hold on, can I please zoom in? The first thing that I thought about was probably bumps, imperfections. I can see a texture of imperfections on this. You can see it in the reflection. I can see a certain level of imperfections on the material, but I think there can be more. I worked on a marble figure just a few months back for a competition, and I think that's a good, I guess, that's a good example of what you can do to make your texture look more realistic, add more photorealism to your texture. So what do you have to do? What do you need to do to make your texture look more realistic? So basically, it can be summed up in, I guess, different layers. Let's talk about them. Where's my project? I forgot where I have it. There it is. It was actually in the 3rd month. There you go. Nope, that's the wrong one. Render. So, final. There you go. Please render. I don't see the images. Hello. Takes so long to render. Okay. Let's look at this. So we can look at this side probably. So what I've done here is I basically grabbed a noise texture for the general color, which first of all added discoloration. You've also added discoloration as far as I can see. You have some gray tones, you have some darker brown tones, or darker, you could say, darker black tones for the metallic shader. So the first one would be discoloration. Basically, to make a material look more realistic, you try to ground it in the environment that it's supposed to. If you have a warrior that runs through a swamp, it would probably have a lot of brown spots. It would probably also be a little bit more like glossy, just because you have so much mud and water on it. So kind of looking at what your character would live in would tell you what the imperfections would be or what the changes would be. So you can have changes in color, you can have changes in roughness, you can have changes in the bump in the surface, basically surface imperfections. You can have changes in subsurface scattering, probably more for characters' faces necessarily. Is there more? You could probably change all the basic principal BSDF values, except maybe for specularity. Specularity doesn't really do that much. For this one, I've basically used multiple textures to create these scratches, for example, on her cheek or here, these brown scratches. That's the first discoloration that I've added. I also added a noise texture just to kind of create a general discoloration. So there are bright spots, there are dark spots. I think I also added like a little bit of a brown to this to just create some, I guess some dirt, some grime. And then I also added some bumps to make the surface look more as if it's been already touched. It's not like perfectly smooth. It's not like as it's been, spawned by God and nobody ever touched it. It actually has some surface imperfections to it, some scratches, some bumps, some cracks, just to ground it more in the environment that it comes from. And then and then roughness changes as well. I think so. I think I added some roughness changes as well. So yeah, those are basically the big changes that you can do to your metallic shader to make it to ground it more in the environment that it's supposed to be in. I think that's the biggest change that kind of appeared to me. In general, I like the design. I'm not a expert in armor design, but the armor doesn't look too full. Sometimes you can have the problem of creating too many, like a too complex armor. What I mean by that is basically that you have too many small shapes making up an armor. I think I heard of a rule before that is creating a big shape, then separating that shape into a smaller shape. Wait, let me look at a good example. Doom armor. So what I mean basically is we can probably go in here. The Doom armor is a pretty good example. So you would build, it would be in layers. Layers are everywhere. So what I mean is you would build big shapes of armor, big patches of armor first. You could see big shoulder pads, big chest plate, big abdomen plate, big arm pieces, a helmet visor, whatever. Big shapes even on the thighs and on the boots. And then you can create smaller details inside of these shapes. So you have the big shapes that define the shape, but then you can add more detail inside of these to make them more detailed. So a rule that I kind of heard at some point was create the biggest shape, then separate that in thirds and put a little bit of detail in one of the thirds. That is just for basic, I guess, the most basic way you can do it. You can see that doesn't really apply to this one, but separate it in thirds, use 1/3 to add a little bit more detail there, then separate this third even more and go into the third of the third and add a little bit more, even smaller detail to this to still retain the big shapes, make the big shapes still visible, but still add more detail to the armor that way. Seems like you've done that. You have big shapes here, chest, abdomen, arms. They seem to be looks quite organized. You have big shapes here, so that's pretty good. I like it. What you could do maybe, or if you added some detail here, maybe you could add some more. Not really necessary, but considerable, you could say. I think the one thing that can make your image like way better, or let's say bump it up a notch, let's say add 10% more, let's say, would be to just, you know, add a little bit more, ground the material a little bit more in the environment. It looks like this is a game character just because it looks quite low poly. You can see, especially in these round areas. Hold on. Here. Nope. Where do we have like a curve? There you go. It's not really that visible, but it looks like it's quite low poly. So I don't want to say, well, make it like smoother, for example. Like here you can say these different like sharp edges. It looks like a game character, so I don't want to say, well, add some more geometry. I don't think that's the appropriate feedback for this. But I think, yeah, overall looks pretty good. Looks very good. The best thing you could probably do is ground the character more in the environment that he lives in. Even if he's in a desert, you know, he might only have like these small scratches, but he would probably still have some sand, some dust on his armor that decolors his armor, maybe even adds a little bit of a little bit more roughness on one side, or a little bit more roughness on one piece of metal, and then it's a little bit rougher on the other. You know, these small changes in the material can really enhance the look of the material, especially when it comes to metal. Okay, that is my feedback for this. Good job in general. I like it. Okay, nope, we don't need you anymore. Then we have one more. This one is actually the perfect ending, because this one is, he actually he's a good boy, and he provided a blend file that we can actually work in. So let's go into Blender and open it. Wait. There you go. I don't want to say you're boy if you're not. You're a good person. But I think you said before that you are. Okay. So let's end with this one. I guess we can sort of say similar, we can give similar feedback to what we had before. Oh, nope, that's not what I wanted. In general, just, I guess, you know, I think you definitely improved your anatomy, but I think there's still more that you can do. The biggest change that I would do would be, looking at the planes of the face. I'm going to show you what I mean in just a second. Oh, nice, nice collection names here. Is that the one that you meant? Probably not. Hold on. Oh, I can see your backups. Oh, there you go. Okay. Let's actually pull up our favorite image again. My favorite image. To learn the face structure, which is in here. Nope, it's not in here. Where are you? Oh, there it is. This one. Oh, wrong image. I mean, wrong window. There you go. This is my favorite image to learn facial structure. Let's apply this structure to this and kind of discuss while doing it what you're going to improve in this face. Okay. So, oh, hold on. So, I guess in general, I think the best way for beginners, or for, let's say, beginners, to improve their characters is to look at the planes of the face, the structure of the face. Not only bones, I mean, yeah, basically bone structure defines most of the face structure. Muscles define a little bit, and fat also defined a little bit, but less than bones. I mean, muscles. So let's look at the planes that we have here. The biggest planes that get created by the bones would first of all be the cheekbone, for example. We have quite strong cheekbones. I like that. The cheekbones, of course, coming from sort of here and going back like this. There you go. So that's in there. That's good. One thing to keep in mind though is if we look at the side view of this image, see how the cheekbone basically has a, you shouldn't really, or it's probably not like a 90 degree, but it goes like from the ear goes forward and then roughly in a 90 degree to the nose. What I mean is that you don't have a curve here. You don't have like this curve like this. You actually have something more like this. So what you can do is you can kind of just define this cheekbone a little bit more. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Hold on. There you go. Define this cheekbone a little bit more. There you go. Smoothing it a little bit. Just to kind of, I like to add this kind of triangle here that kind of signals that it goes inwards now. And then sort of removing this, maybe even pulling the cheekbone a little bit further. There you go. To create this plane right here, this just cheekbone plane, you could say. There you go. And then the next one that gets created by the bones would be the jaw. The jaw roughly, of course, begins or connects to the upper part of the head in the middle of the face or in the middle of the skull, which is where it is placed. So that's good. It then goes downwards, either in a slope like this, or it goes like downwards, straight downwards. This is more for male characters. For female characters, it's kind of facing forwards a little bit. So that's pretty good. I think what you can do though, is you can see that the bone in yours, if you look from the back, sort of goes inwards. What I mean by that is it sort of looks like this is the furthest it kind of pokes outwards, and then it goes inwards like this. What you would rather have is that the bone looking from the front goes like this and then straight upwards. So the actual edge, the furthest, like this piece right here is what is the widest. So you have a V shape that goes from here, the thinnest part, outwards like this. From the bottom, it looks like that's the case, but then from the back, it looks like it kind of goes inwards again. So one thing you can do is you can either pull these further in like this, or you can pull this further out. Especially the cheekbone. What creates this sort of curve that goes like this is because the cheekbone is still wider than the jaw. You can't really see it here necessarily, but looking at my skull here, see how the cheekbone is still wider than the skull, I mean the jaw. That is why you have a small curve kind of going inwards. That's why it looks kind of like it's going inwards, because the curve or the skin kind of tries to get thinner and tries to get to the jaw. So by just pulling out the cheekbone a little bit, you can keep the jaw quite the same width all the way up to the connection to the upper part of the head. Let's look at the ears. They go from the nose to the forehead. Looks pretty good. In general, the ears don't actually go that high. I think you can make them a little bit smaller. You can see right here, they basically go from the ear or from the middle of the eye. Right here. They go, that's the, like if you connect the ear to the head, that would be right here. From there to there in this area. But then the ear itself really only goes up to here maybe. Oh, up to there. It's not that high. So one thing you can do is you can maybe pull this attachment a little bit lower and then pull this in general a little bit lower. Adjust the proportions to the nose size to just fit it into this new proportion. There you go. Just make the ears a little bit smaller. Then in general, big C like this. And then Y in the middle. There you go. Okay. Also, of course, separate the ear. The ear has like a small little space in the back. It's not really dipping in like this. It's actually like outwards like this. It's more like this. But yeah, we don't want to talk about ears too much. The next one is that the eyes right now, or the outer part of the eye, basically go from the cheekbone upwards, straight upwards. Usually for the head, it is an inwards slope. So it would be more like this. That would be the outer edge of the eye. That would be this sort of plane right here. This plane, the side of the head basically, is going inwards slightly. So what you could do is you could first of all not really maybe push this inwards. I think what would be more helpful would be to go into the cheeks and just make them a little bit wider. Keep the eyes quite small, or keep the eyes the same size, and then just make them a little bit wider. Also keep in mind that the back of the head is wider than the front of the head, which means it's still wider, but I think you can make it a little bit rounder by just kind of pulling it out a little bit more. There you go. It also goes quite deep. Of course, the upper part of the skull roughly at the bottom ends where the nose is, between the nose and the lips, or at the bottom of the nose. So it's roughly over here. Oh. If you have the upper part of the skull like here, that's where the upper part of the skull would be, like this. Then you have the hole right there. Then you would have the nose right there. So one thing you can do is you can first of all just make this wider. Also maybe pull it a little bit lower. There you go. And maybe even push this slightly more inwards. Okay. In general, you also have it's not really necessary for females, but I think it's just a good way. So what I like to do to make characters, female characters, is make them look male, like this. Make them look male. And then smooth everything. So for the forehead, basically what you can do is you can just add this sort of forehead shape. So you have quite a pointy triangle here. Also make sure that the eyes are quite deep underneath the forehead. Just because the forehead, or it needs space to place the fat above the eyelid. That would be right here, right there. You know, it needs space right there. So you kind of have to place the eyes a little bit deeper underneath the forehead. But so the structure of the forehead is basically a triangle like this. That then goes backwards. You can see it right here as well, triangle. That goes backwards, like this. The triangle gets created by this bone right there, this hole in the back. There's this hole formed by the cheekbone and this eye, sort of like eye hole border, I guess you could say. And then that's why you get this sort of edge right there, and then the edge just kind of flows backwards. I don't think you can really see it in the head shape or in the skull, but adding all the muscles, you basically fill this hole that would be right here by adding muscles like this. So you create these triangles here for the side of the forehead, and then you would also have this front piece right there to kind of create a deeper forehead. In general, the forehead is sort of going backwards when you look from the side. What I mean by that is that this part here in the middle is further forward, looking at from the side, than this. So you can see it right here. You could probably even maybe pull everything a little bit further backwards. Hold on, let me actually just do this. There you go. This way you can just create some more space for the forehead to work. Now the forehead is first of all more defined. There you go. And it also just kind of goes backwards in this direction. Like this. Then if you have a very defined forehead, maybe you can add this sort of bowl there as well. The sort of sphere shape, which gets created by the sphere of the general head shape, like this. That's the sphere. And then you attach more to the front of the sphere to create the face, which is why you can why you still have this sort of sphere shape in the front right there, that you can also see right there. And then once you have everything defined, you could probably do more, but you can then smooth everything to make it look more feminine, but still keep some of that detail. You could maybe also make this a little bit, pull it further back. There you go. Okay. I think also the forehead is a little bit too big. In general, the eyes should be in the middle of the face. Yeah, in general, in the middle of the face. You can maybe put them a little bit lower for female characters, a little bit higher for male characters, but in general, in the middle of the face. If you look at this, it seems like they're a little bit... So what you could probably do is you could probably pull this just slightly lower, like this. Keep the eyes, I mean the ears in the same spot. There you go. Add a little bit more volume here. And just in general, just keep the planes of the head in mind. Make everything a little bit smoother here. Okay. Yeah, there's, of course, you can also go to the front, to the nose, or maybe to the cheek. I think the biggest thing you can change here, you can see her side of the face compared to yours. You can see an concave or an inwards, like an inwards curve. For her, it's more like a straight line. That is because for your sculpt, you're kind of missing this this fat pad that is lying right here. Adding that fat pad that you can also see very clearly right there, going over the cheekbone, going to the nose, adding that on top. You can see how it adds more volume right there and fills this up some more. Same goes for this sort of small little volume right there. You would have some muscles right there connecting the jaw to the cheekbone. There you go. And you would probably have some fat underneath here, which isn't really necessary. Yeah, exactly. Understanding the planes is very important, not only for faces, but also for all the other parts of the anatomy. There you go. So maybe even just you try to recreate this. I posted it in Discord before. Maybe just try to go in there and try to recreate this sculpt. I think that can help you a lot. Same for the nose. You can see the nose is separated into two pieces. The tip of the nose, which is made of two pieces, which are kind of just mirrored. And then you have the nostril. There you go. That's the middle piece right here. And then you have the nostril going outwards. You have the bridge like this. This is quite deep, as we discussed before. There you go. We have the, what is it? The fat pad over the eyelid going into the middle like this. There you go. We also have a fat pad underneath that is basically where because the eye doesn't fill the entire eye hole of the skull, you need to fill it with something. Some parts get filled by muscles, but there's also a little bit of space underneath the eye that gets filled by muscle, or at least fat covers this part right here, which is also why when you look tired, you can add these bags underneath the eye. These bags are not muscles, they are actually fat, which are right here. There you go. They are inside of the cheekbone, so you'd probably pull the cheekbone a little bit further forward, or maybe pull the eyes further into the face like this. I'll probably mess up your eyes, but you know, this is just a rough adjustment. So you have the cheekbone, you also have the bag underneath. Smooth it. You have the fat right there. And then you have the mouth. The mouth is a little bit wider than the nose. It is wider, but I think it can still be wider than this. Just a little bit more. And the wider you make it, the further you also need to pull it in this direction. It doesn't really, it's not like a perfect rule that it needs to go diagonally like this, but sometimes you push it further too far forward. Sometimes it's quite straight like this, which looks kind of weird then. Or sometimes it's also in the other direction, so that these lips are quite far back. In general, the face is, even in the front, a V shape. So not only is the jaw a V shape, the lips also are a V shape, like this. The nose is a V shape, like this. And then the forehead is also a V shape, like this. So yeah. I guess best tip I can give you is look at the planes of the face and bone structure, muscle structure, and fat structure. There you go. I don't have a duplicate of the version, but yeah, let's make her angry. There you go. or even more sad. Okay, let's keep it there. Yep. Planes of the face. #1 tip I can give you. Okay. So if you want to have this again, if you want to have it back, I need to figure out a way to send it to you. Can I send it to you through Discord if I zip it? Probably, right? I'll figure it out later. I'm gonna save it. Yeah, I'm gonna figure that out later. But that concludes today's feedback session. I hope you learned something new. Hopefully my feedback was helpful. I would be, you know, I would be very happy to see, you know, if you actually apply these adjustments or this feedback to your piece to see the next version. If you want to do that, of course you don't have to do, just to kind of, you know, just because I think it's cool. If you want to work on something else, you can do that as well. Hustler version 2. Okay. Yep. Yeah. Once you know, or once you get the skull shape right, you learn a lot, or you basically learn the structure of the face. I can show you a very good example of, not, of course I do it every time, but there's another good example of why knowing the bone structure is so important. Oh, welcome back, Zachary. Didn't know you were here as well. Hope you've enjoyed your weekend and your Monday. Wait, what is it called? Demon Lord Sculpt. he goes maybe further than you need to. There you go. But what you can see here is he, just like I do, creates the skull first. He maybe details the skull even more than you need to, but it highlights a lot why the skull defines the shape of the head so much. You can see right here, he first creates the entire skull with maybe more detail than you need, but then you can see what he does afterwards. Let's look at it. Hold on. He builds, and then you can see, oh well, he places the eyes inside of the eye socket. He adds the layer of fat and muscle on top of the eye, on top of the bone, and then he adds more muscles on top of the bone that he then creates. This way you define not only the head shape, the jaw size, the jaw rotation, or the jaw kind of angle, the cheekbone, the general face structure, before you actually add muscles on top of it to create the face in general. Now you can see he adds the jaw bones, he adds the muscles on the side to fill the hole that we talked about. He goes to the front to create the mouth muscles. He actually adds both layers together, the muscle and the fat. He actually creates the neck as well. Yeah, I really like the what is it called? The mat cap. The mat cap looks really, really good. I would actually like to have that mat cap. It looks really good. But maybe it also just looks so good because it's so smooth, because in ZBrush you can just use more vertices and just work with more vertices easier. And now he just builds on top of the skull. So once you know the skull, then I think it is time to go to the muscles. And then once you know the muscles, you can create like something like this. You can then go to the fat. The fat is the least important one, but it's still important to get everything right, you know? As we said before, the more realistic you want to make it, the more you need to look into details, like fat pads, for example. This one was kind of weird how he creates this ear, but still pretty. Oh yeah, we can now actually see the ear shape. So he creates the ear from the outside first, and then you can see why you have this sort of bump in the back of the ear, why you have this sort of volume in the back of the ear, just because there has to be some space where this sort of wrinkly ear is. I don't know how to describe it. Let's see. Hold on. I'm just gonna go back to standard speed. Okay, please go to the back. Please, please. There we go. Oh no. There you go. You can see the ears are kind of fanning outwards, and then you have some more space for this volume that gets created by going inwards into the ear to create these bumps, basically. Yep, I'm gonna post this in the Discord as well. Wait, tutorials. Perfect example of the layering technique for when sculpting characters. You can see I'm a typing expert. I'm very fast, as you can see. I look at the buttons, at the keys when I type. Okay. Yep. Of course, as always, it's my pleasure to help you improve. And you know, maybe in a year we're gonna see, we can compare you know, the work that we looked at first and then the work that you then created. Okay. But that concludes today's stream. Today will only be about feedback. There's nothing more. I think it's already quite late, so, you know, nothing really to do. Except for saying thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. Thank you for maybe even submitting your art to get feedback on. Thank you for watching, listening, chatting, listening. I said that before. And just being here. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And maybe I'll see you next time. Until then, Take care.